Second one. Who's down? Right, it's down. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna be on. Oh, she's okay, I'm seeing on the screen. Pam, off the line.
Hello. Yep, I'm here.
Good, glad you're sit by Zoom, thanks. So welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting for August 27th, 2025 at the Bellingham Municipal Center at this time we're going to start. I'm just going to take a second and recognize Dennis Frain's long service as town administrator. A lot of the other boards have. I know it's on the town website. After 40 years, he's retired, and he's did a lot of good things for the town. But also, I've worked with him in various capacities and committees and so forth over the years, and always found him to be very professional and going to be missed. And hopefully, his replacement will be equal up to the task, as we have many challenges ahead. But thank you, Dennis, for all your service. All right, we'll jump right into the first item, which is a continued meeting for an RDA from the MBTA commuter rail right of way, implementing the renewal of the 5-year vegetative management plan (VMP) along the MBTA commuter rail right of way in Bellingham to eliminate, control, and manage vegetation along the right of way. Anna Rita Pascal is the applicant, and Representative Matt Donovan from Benesh. The applicant has asked to continue to the evening of September 10th as either personnel or some other issues or not. But they are asked to continue since this is an ongoing thing we want to have their participation in. I think it's reasonable to continue it. It's nothing pressing time-wise for us or for them currently.
Could we ask you to speak up, please?
Yes, sorry.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mike, for letting me know. Yes, so we have a request from the applicant. I'll take a motion to continue the hearing to the evening of September 10th. Steve, thanks. Second, James, thanks. We will do a Zoom call. Since Pam's on Zoom, we will do a roll call vote. Pam?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Marianne?
Aye.
Steve? Aye. James?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Thank you. So let's continue to September 10th. The next item on the agenda is a continued hearing for a notice of intent for Blackstone Street, alteration of bordering vegetated wetland (BVW) and its associated 100-foot buffer zone for improvements to the undeveloped section of Blackstone Street, including infrastructure, utilities, and site grading. Louis Petrozzi from Wall Street Development Corporation is the applicant. No representative listed. Okay, we have received some information from Beal and Thomas, who are the peer reviewers that we have selected for this, and have approved by the applicant for the first series of review items, at least. And we have received a report dated July 23rd from Beal and Thomas to the commission, which included information they've received, comments about from the applicant, rather, information they've received from the applicant, comments about WPA. Comments and from Mass DEP and their comments from their site walk, which was on
July 16th.
July 16th. Okay. Before we jump into that, I'd like to ask Beal and Thomas, who has a number of representatives online, to just identify themselves as we're getting into this project, and perhaps maybe spend just a moment explaining what your various roles are as you interact and communicate amongst yourselves to provide the commission and public and so forth with reports and information, how you do site visits combining with information in the office and so forth.
Certainly.
Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Stacy Minahan. I'm a principal and professional wetland scientist with Beals and Thomas, and I have Tom Michalak with me tonight as well. He's the professional engineer reviewing the project for the town, along with Myself and our two colleagues, Andrew Gorman, and then another principal and professional engineer, Daniel Feeney, has provided input as well. Andrew is on vacation tonight, so I'm here in his place, but we were all kind of involved and aware of the review. So the way our reviews typically work, as was the case for this one, we coordinate amongst our multidisciplinary team. So I mentioned I'm a wetland scientist. Andrew is one of our senior environmental specialists and our expert wetland delineator. We coordinate with our professional engineers to undertake a review of the project within whatever scope the commission has requested. And so in this case, there was a request for a review for Conservation Commission, Wetlands Protection Act, local bylaw considerations, accepting stormwater, which we understand will be reviewed during the planning board process. Andrew went out and did the field visit and reported out. And then Andrew and Tom reviewed the materials, prepared the letter. Dan and I also reviewed, we discussed amongst ourselves, and then issued the letter to the commission. Does that explain our general role? And then I did want to just touch on the stormwater note I had mentioned as well.
Sure. Thank you, Stacey. Let me pause for a second, give commission members a chance to absorb all that.
Yep.
Thank you. Do you have any comments or questions? We want to get on the right foot with this first time working with Bill and Thomas in this way and make sure we were good on communication and how the process works. Any initial questions from the commission? Okay, great. Go ahead, Stacey. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so the only thing I did want to know, because it is a little bit unique to have stormwater excluded from a review, although it's not the first time that a municipality has done it this way, and we understand it goes along with different boards or it lives under different boards sometimes. We did include commentary on stormwater facilities where we were concerned about the design and the potential for a failure to directly impact a wetland. And we can go through this in more detail as we're talking through our comments. So there are several comments that appear that are stormwater related, related to the basin design or things like that, which we noted because the design kind of intent or approach was a little unclear, and we had some concerns with that, with potential to impact the wetland. There were also a few things we noticed just as we were conducting our review that were purely stormwater comments. Those are comments 18, 21, 22, and 25. So those comments we included because at the point we noticed them, we thought it might be helpful to have them in the letter, but we're not anticipating a response during this process. Those are kind of pure stormwater comments that we noted.
Could you say those numbers again, please? I'm sorry.
Sure. 18, 21, 22, and 25.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think the way we want to potentially start the process is just as we usually do when we receive a peer review report, is to give the board members a chance to open up with questions they might have, observations, inquiries, so forth. So I'll just go around and see who has anything that they like to add. I'll start with Nicole. You have anything you'd like to ask initially from Beals and Thomas, or just other questions about this project that may be relevant?
No, I was just reviewing their points that they were making, and it just seems like there's a lot of stuff that's not answered.
Yeah, okay, this is early first step of gathering information, so that's good to know, okay.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to what they have to say to fill in some of the blanks that I
Okay.
see as I first read through it.
All right. Would you like to bring the commission?
Yeah, I really have a lot of
Okay, well, more will come out, but this is an early step. I just want to give, if it was, think, right?
touch on.
Visa. Oh. Well, let me ask, Stacy, does this question has been asked, does this touch on NISA? Endangered Species Act?
No, it does not. So the site is within estimated and priority habitat, as was indicated in the notice of intent, and the notice of intent application also indicates that a copy has been submitted to Natural Heritage. And so Natural Heritage will issue a letter indicating what, if anything, needs to be done for the project to comply both with MISA and with the habitat provisions of the Wetlands Protection Act.
Answer your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just curious, do we have to notify the National Heritage when something like this comes up inside, or they get alerted some other form to know that they now need to review this?
It's the applicant's responsibility
Okay,
to
okay.
send a copy to Natural Heritage.
Okay. All right, we'll wait to see how they respond. Steve?
Two comments. With Ariane, I want more time to review this, but I do have a specific question regarding question 18. And if I'm interpreting this right, you're indicating that the design flow is already exceeds standard engineering practice, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And is the standard engineering practice geared towards average flow or 100-year storm flow?
I mean, generally it's based on like a rational method. So a lot of times it's 25-year storm for like design. But in this case, once again, we didn't dive into your local regulation on hydraulics, what you require. But yeah, generally speaking, 10 to 12 feet per second is what you tend to see. And I guess the one nuance here is that it's not like there's an outfall here where you have this, excessive velocity leaving the system. This is all interior to the system and before the basins. So even though we have steeper slopes like in the roadway, it flattens out. Really what you'd be worried about over time is just like really just scouring out the pipes. Like any sort of sediment that gets into the pipe is now moving at this higher rate. It might just scour the bottom a bit. I mean, HDP is pretty resilient, but that's really the crux of a lot of this. And obviously, if we did have stormwater outfalls, those would have to be armored appropriately to dissipate the energy as it leaves the system. But yeah, that comment was just made because it was fairly obvious to see that the pipes were.
Understand. Is there ever a situation where the increased flow would help keep the pipe clear?
I mean, that's why you have a minimum. You want to keep at least 2 feet per second. And 2 to 10, 2 to 12 feet per second is sort of the range you want to be in. Sometimes some towns want 3 feet per second for a minimum. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, there is certainly something to be said for keeping it moving. You just don't want it moving too fast.
Right, and this is one of the comments that's more of along the lines of a pure stormwater comment, because it's all, as Tom said, kind of interior to the system. So regardless of those slopes, we're not concerned that there's an external direct potential for impact to the wetlands.
I understand, it was the first question, a little bit more as I get an opportunity to go through this. But the design is about, what, 25% over the standard?
Yeah. No, I think the 12 feet per second. So yeah, yeah, I guess so. If you're looking at the higher end.
I took 15 divided by 12, so.
Yep.
Okay, you have a second question, Steve? Otherwise-
No,
No,
I need time to review it.
not fine, but you just want to make sure you need to.
That 21 was interesting to read.
I don't know, we'll just.
Okay.
Okay,
21 stuck out to me.
do you want to question anything about it right now? Bring it. Okay.
It's just reminiscent of the floodplain requirements.
Okay. We'll dive back into that. James?
No questions for Beals and Thomas, but for Hannah, there is a proposed wetland line change for a few points. I'm assuming it's not a big difference, but do we get an updated plan with those points changed?
We haven't gotten any updated information as a result of the peer review yet.
All right, Stacy, based on your points that you brought forward for starting with number 3, the site visit, I'll avoid going through the 2 that are related to the DEP at this moment. And knowing that we're not going to spend enough time by tonight to go through most of them, because there are quite a few of them. Do you have a sense of comments 3 through 25 at least, other than the ones 4 that you identified earlier, or 3 through 26, that there are any that are pressing that we get a sense of because they will involve a deeper level of potentially investigation and or additional follow-up? Or is it, if everything was responded to in the way this initial letter has by the applicant and all the information is provided, that we would be in good shape to proceed with a next level of evaluations? Obviously, there's lots of things outstanding in information that's being requested.
Yep, yeah, so if I'm understanding the question, if we were to receive responses to comments and any associated updated or revised materials addressing all of the comments except for the 4 or 5 stormwater ones that I had noted at the outset, then our review would be satisfied. So these are our comments once the applicant responds and addresses them. Now, I would say, obviously, I don't know how the stormwater review is happening. I know we'll be doing it for the planning board, but obviously the commission also cares about the stormwater. So I don't know whether, you close out while that's happening, or you close with a condition that that the stormwater be addressed per the planning board. But certainly stormwater comments could lead to design changes. But for the scope of our review, if they were to respond thoroughly and provide updated materials, then there wouldn't be another subsequent.
Well, unless the responses by the applicant warrant further
Correct,
information be gathered, or there's some question about, okay.
exactly.
Mr. Petrosi, do you have a sense of when some of these things that are being asked for will be able to be responded?
We are sitting at.
Yeah, fair enough.
Great.
Chairs, that's why he's asking.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that there were no chairs.
That's my fault.
That's all right.
Sorry.
Self-serve
on purpose.
self-serve tonight. There you go.
Okay, thank you very
So
much.
confused, sorry.
For the record, I'm Lou Petrosi with Wall Street Development Corp. So we've been reviewing, we have reviewed the Bills and Thomas review report. And thank you for getting the report done quickly. Unfortunately, we have this, as she mentioned, the split jurisdiction over stormwater and wetlands. So we're in the process of, the planning board at their last meeting agreed to accept the proposal from Beals and Thomas, so they will be preparing a peer review for stormwater management. The report that Beals and Thomas has produced so far, the only thing I request is that anything related to stormwater management be taken off of this report, because it's gonna be taken up by the planning board. So I would just like a clean letter just dealing with the wetland matters. For example, I know you mentioned the last 4 or 5 in the report, but there are others like culvert sizing, the size of the box culvert. Why is it that size, or those are stormwater related. I think, as we talked about previously, was that the commission's concern is that we maintain the level of the water of the vernal pool side of the roadway, so that anything that we do doesn't diminish the water that's in that pond on either a seasonal basis or on a regular basis. So, and then so that the plans have been designed with that in mind. Now, there are all kinds of different techniques. I see a mention in here about a weir structure of some sort. I mean, that's stormwater related in a way. So those types of designs, we proposed a certain design of a box culvert. If there's some other idea that you'd like incorporated into that design, that different than what we've proposed, then we should know about it, I guess, from the commission standpoint, rather than, guessing. But the main objective is to receive a peer review of the stormwater, make one revision for both boards. There are some wetland flagging that has to be surveyed that was done during the site walk, and some other things to determine based on that flagging. So that's in the process of being done. Unfortunately, everybody goes on vacation, so there's shortage of people doing the work these days, so it's taking a little bit longer. But the main emphasis is that we would like to consolidate the plan revision so that there's one plan revision that we submit to the commission, and then we can
decide which items still need to be addressed either by planning or the conservation commission, but it would be easier for our people to just deal with the wetland issues in one report and then deal with stormwater on a separate report rather than have them intertwined.
It's nice when that works out that way. Unfortunately, from what I'm hearing for this particular project. Yeah. From what I'm hearing from Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong, Stacy, that there are some areas where knowing that stormwater is gonna be reviewed primarily and usually is primarily reviewed by the planning board, that there are overlaps where stormwater structure may affect the have environmental impacts on the wetlands surrounding the stormwater structures or other effects that cross over the line. So it blurs the line somewhat, and those were identified as those 4 items at least that you identified, 18, 21, 22, and 25, correct?
Correct, yeah.
No.
Oh, no, sorry, those are the
ones that are.
those ones, I had backwards, sorry. Those
Are
excluded,
not
but
relevant.
there are other ones where you do mention it. And I would say on this particular site, especially with the vernal pool immediately adjacent to a road that's being proposed to be developed. That's a high concern. And so any impacts to the water, stormwater structures or development, whatever plans are developed along that area will impact, in this case, a very important resource area that's environmental. So there's going to be some overlap, but where it can be separated, I think we want to continue to try to have the
Yeah,
planning
and
board take the lead.
if I may, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So yes, I would also clarify, I do not consider the culvert to be a stormwater facility. So that relates directly to the wetland hydrology. So absolutely, I think that should be addressed during Conservation Commission review. Tom, you can jump in if I'm misspeaking.
I agree.
And then as to stormwater, we can and I don't think a revised letter is needed because we can note which comments the commission, doesn't need the applicant to respond to in this letter. The same comments are going to be carried over as a starting point in the planning board letter. We were not initially under contract to do the stormwater review for the planning board. And so with those comments that I mentioned are stormwater, but the reason we commented on them was because if the basin fails, to back up a minute, some of these basins are up to 7 feet deep and only infiltration is proposed. So we have some concerns about relying solely on infiltration without having had the opportunity to delve into the full design details. So we made those comments because we were only reviewing for the Conservation Commission. And if that basin failed, there would be impacts potentially to the wetland. Now that we're doing the planning board review, and especially if it happens concurrently, as long as we reach closure on those comments, I have no issue, addressing anything stormwater related under the planning board and keeping the commission informed, however the commission would like to handle it. But just to clarify, to your point, Chair, that some of our stormwater comments were made because of potential wetland impacts, and it was just a matter of timing where we didn't know that we were going to be having an opportunity at the planning board to address those wetland impacts, even though they're stormwater driven.
Yeah, I've got 2 points. One is a comment and then a question for Stacy. Personal opinion on segregation between planning board managing stormwater and Concom wetlands is good. However, I don't think we can begin to believe that stormwater doesn't impact wetland. There's a hydrologic connection. That's absolute. So, if we have a question, we'll be asking, or at least I will.
I agree.
Stacy, top of page 3, you make reference to a gravel base. And your last sentence ahead of the pictures are, we do not request that this area be included as part of the delineation. The hydrologic connectivity between these 2 resource areas should be carefully considered. Can you expand, please, on your concern with the gravel being only a few inches down?
Sure. So, and I think this is covered in one of our numbered comments later on in the letter, but when we're out in the field, if there's a kind of clear occasional or apparent hydrologic connection, it's very helpful for designers to be aware of that, which I'm sure the applicant's team is. And so our later comment asks for some information about just more information about the hydrology, how it was analyzed to confirm that it's mimicking the existing conditions, passing the appropriate amount of water, etc. So that comment was more of a confirmation from our field representative, like, yep, there is overflow here. The other thing that relates to one of our other comments is I believe that that overflow area seemed to occur because of some blocked existing culverts that aren't shown on the plan. So that was one of our comments
You
as well.
mentioned that in the beginning. Is there a concern with the gravel that we should be aware of, or is it just make sure we roll it into the evaluation?
No, there's not a concern with the gravel. So I see where you're speaking. I think I was speaking to another portion of the letter. I apologize. So this is about the second paragraph on page 3, how we're talking about it's shallow saturated soil. So we looked at that area to evaluate whether it should be considered actual wetland itself within the road. And so we were just noting why we did not think that it should be considered wetland within the road. So we agreeing with the applicant's assessment in that area.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I just say one thing? You know, we understand that the reason why this vernal pool got created in the first place was because these so-called blocked culverts have been blocked or caved in. And I don't think it's wouldn't be our intention to disturb that because that would affect the water in the pool. So while the comment is that we should locate them, I think it becomes impractical to do that because we don't
Locate
want.
what though?
Excuse me?
You said we should locate them.
No, well, there was a comment in the report from Beals to locate them,
Them meaning,
these blocked culverts.
just want to be clear for the record.
Yeah, and I think we're all on the same page with regard to the pool being maintained, so I don't think it's a practical exercise to locate these culverts. The best thing would be to block the culverts up permanently so that the pool stays where it is. We start locating them and open the culverts up, you know, wouldn't be anything that we did that disturbed the pool. It would be the existing conditions that we'd be reopening, and that would affect the pool, not anything that we would do. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yeah, I think,
In, Lou, in one of the very early conversations in this, there was discussion about a regulatory aspect to that culvert to maintain a height for the vernal pool, but overflow would still be managed as it is now.
Right.
Now it's going over the road. In fact, I believe one of my questions was, how would we maintain it so it doesn't deplete?
Right.
And you acknowledged that and addressed it. Is that concept changing now?
No. What we're talking about is stuff that's already in the road, underneath the gravel roadway. There are collapsed culverts.
Yeah.
That used to allow the water to traverse from both one side to
Which
the
has
other.
probably yielded a higher average level in the vernal pool since
It's
they
created, yes, that's right. So the comment in the letter, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, the comment in the letter is they want us to locate those blocked culverts. And I'm just suggesting that it's meaningless unless you're deciding that you wanna do something with those blocked culverts, but the impact of doing something with those blocked culverts would be contrary to what we're trying to do with our new culvert that we're putting in. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand the concept.
So if you go there during the high spring water season, and we didn't see this at the time, but we did go back and noticed that there was seepage through the bank of the roadway. And he said, yeah, there's a collapsed culvert there from years ago. And that collapsed culvert, because it's collapsed, has caused the water to stay on the upside of the roadway, causing the pool.
is it anecdotal that there are three collapsed culverts there, or is it some proof that somebody could see the end of one of them crushed but still visible? Because
Oh,
you're talking about exploring them and finding them, and discovering them as if they are.
that's right. Well, that's what the letter is suggesting,
Mr. Chair.
saying that would be not a good thing.
So comment 11 is 2 existing culverts were observed below Blackstone Street.
Below Blackstone Street.
So Stacy, it says they were observed. Does that mean you can see either end of the culvert, so it's easily identifiable?
So I would have to defer to Andrew to answer that specifically, but he did see them. I don't know that we could tell whether they were kind of full or crushed. I think, you know, acknowledging the point being made about maintaining the hydrology, it warrants at least reflecting that they exist on the plan. And I'm looking to see if we had anything else about them in.
Lou, if they're visible from either side of the road, you wouldn't have any reservations about putting it on the plan.
No,
You're
I-
saying you don't want to dig them
we-
up if you
No,
can.
no, we've
Oh,
looked
yeah,
at
no.
it, and the only sign that you could, when we were there, the only sign that you could tell that there was a culvert there was the water. There was a flow of water, very minimal flow of water coming
There
through.
was some through ground.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we interpret that to be one of the I don't know about the second one, we know at least of that one, but what I'm trying to explain is that whatever it is, you don't want it, to be honest with you. You want it to be no connection.
And I think having a response, its comments 11 and 16 pertain to this. 16 also notes the existing culverts that provide some form of a hydraulic connection between the wetland systems. So just, I think, confirming what is there, what if any hydraulic connection it provides, and providing documentation for the proposed design intent, you know, in terms of maintaining the existing hydrology.
So can I make a question, raise a question then, because let's say, for example, we were to adopt another alternative, which is to restore that culvert that would be the same, in the same location that it is now, but allow more flow through it, rather than putting a box culvert in where it's overtopping the roadway now. So I mean, you have,
But we discussed that originally, and would probably drain the vernal pool some.
well, that's, see, these are the two things. We could design, we could replace the existing culvert that's there and still allow the same, or limit the flow that's going through there now in the same fashion. That would still allow the water level to be maintained as it currently is, without having to raise the road and build a retaining wall to put our, the other culvert in. You follow?
If I may.
What do you think?
Mr. Chair, is it the board's position that or preference that the design, I don't want to give a design instruction here. Is it our preference that the pool level, average level, where however that gets determined, be maintained and managed?
I think a more general overall concern of the commission is, as is mandated, I believe, in regulations, to protect the quality of the vernal pool, regardless of what that means. It may mean that the levels can fluctuate, it may mean that it can't in this particular case. It's gonna be very site specific to that particular location. And again, pointing out, in case the public doesn't know, or that road is immediately adjacent to a vernal pool, and there is in the bylaws a 25-foot, 50-foot bylaws, no disturb area around vernal pool, and we're right up against it, feet away, a couple of feet away. So
less.
yes, so protecting the vernal pool, I think, is the highest priority mandate. Whether that means the levels can go up and down or not, up to see. Whether the town, the commission wants to approve a potentially pending variance request, waiver rather, of the no disturb area. I mean, that's another thing that has not really been discussed yet. But whatever structure or means of managing and maintaining water levels will be part of, I think, a bigger question of, can you maintain the vernal pool's integrity and quality? Because that, I believe, is the highest level of protection we need to provide.
And that's the answer I was
So
looking
that's,
for.
we'll have to see, it'll evolve. It could be an engineering solution that's acceptable, it might not be.
I'm just asking the question, if there's a culvert already there that just needs to be repaired, or two culverts, whatever the case may be, is it better to repair those existing culverts in a way that maintains the level of the pool as it is today, or install another box culvert raising the road up substantially.
Can't tell until
You
you
can
show
do
them the plans.
I don't think we have an
I'm
answer.
asking a preference here.
I don't think we're gonna give you a preference because we don't
If-
know. We're not engineers.
Okay.
I don't know
If
what
I
the
may.
solution is. That's good, Stacy.
So this also sort of relates to comment 15 in terms of kind of the hydraulic information, the support for the design intent, right? So that's one of the things we're looking for, which is getting to this question. So I think if various alternatives are being considered by the applicant, it's for them to analyze those alternatives and propose the most appropriate one.
Yeah, absolutely. I just thought about it while I'm sitting here. I mean, if you have an existing
I
situation.
understand though, I think the advice you're getting goes back to the advice you've received a number of times is you've got to evaluate the engineering and make a proposal and then we can take it and have it reviewed. We can't give you direction. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
But the goal is obviously, I think we agree on the goal is to maintain the pool at a level that it is been at for the last, let's say, several
Yes,
years.
and your engineering would have to define
Yeah,
that.
we'd have to just.
I wouldn't say that's the only goal. I want to be clear that that's not the only goal. I think the bigger goal, which this is a part of, is to maintain the quality and protect the vernal pool in whatever form it means. It might mean, as I said, the level could go up and down and have some fluctuation. But a wetland scientist is actively going to be involved in figuring that out for us because we don't have the expertise. So the priority, the goal is to protect the vernal pool. And it might mean, as I said, going right next to it, the road is not acceptable. It's possible that there'll be a waiver request, there won't be, but that's proceeding.
Let me just say that again. The road was there before the pool, so.
The pool is there now, the road was, we can go that down the road, literally.
We have pools that are next to highways, they don't get rid of the highway.
Yeah, this is.
So-
No one is
something we can
saying get
discuss
rid of the
another time.
road. We're saying that the vernal pool is there now, so it's our priority to protect it.
Absolutely, and we agree with that philosophy.
So-
100%.
The problem, Pamela, comes in is the 25-foot notice served.
50.
If we,
50 in the final, I was saying.
50, if we maintain that, the road has to be rerouted.
Yeah, no, well,
I believe the bylaw says the commission can impose 50-foot. Doesn't mean that's the standard. We can.
Right. We have that right.
I don't necessarily.
We've heard
believe
lose
that-
points.
No, I know. I'm just saying, I don't believe
It's
that.
not.
is a
To
waiver.
clarify, I wasn't saying that, I wasn't talking about rerouting the road. I'm saying whatever conditions existed to make the vernal pool happen right now, we're not looking to undo to get rid of the vernal pool. We are now thinking about protecting the vernal pool. That's what my comment was, Steve.
exactly.
All right, thanks. All right, that helps. All right, I'm going to curtail any more discussion on this particular topic. We spent 40 minutes and we have a number of other items on the agenda and a number of people in the room, some of whom were here for this perhaps or not, and I'm gonna touch on that in a second.
You're gonna open.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna see what the interest is first, but I want to be clear. So I did ask Lou when he first came up to the seat and I didn't get a response, so I'm gonna ask again. Based on the information in the peer review letter, which you got a chance to look at and talk, even though some of you guys are on vacation, they're working for you, getting this information together. When do you expect that you might have responses to the majority or all of the requested information?
So, forget when we're continued, I think we're continued to September 28th.
All right.
Planning board, do you have an idea?
Oh, with the planning board, I don't know.
Yeah, no, well, the point, my only point is that they're supposed to, deals is. Would you happen to know, Stacy, how, what the, stormwater review is?
I'm sorry?
What the status of the stormwater review, have you started that, or you haven't?
We were just authorized this week, yesterday, maybe, or the day before. So we have not started it yet. I believe that the hearing date that you noted, September 25th, is what we were told was the next hearing date for the
That's the
planning
next
board.
planning board. Well, not the next planning board, that's the planning board, the second, fourth Thursday.
So I would, you folks, meet on the 24th, right?
Correct.
So I'm suggesting that we maybe, if we get their peer review like a week or so, or 2 weeks before the 25th, we'd have a plan revision for the 24th to review. So I'm saying let's continue this until the 24th of September.
All right, and I will ask that if, as your representatives who are helping you gather the information, or you yourself can keep Hannah communicated with, so we don't run into a last minute submittal that we weren't expecting without enough time to review it, which
Right.
just stymies everybody, and sort of this things off. As well as if you run into a delay or there's something where this takes longer to get the information together, just keep us appraised on that as you go on, please. All right, I'm going to ask the members of the audience in the room here, if anyone is here that is particularly interested in this particular Blackstone Street project, not any of the other things on the hearing yet. I mean, on the meeting yet, to just indicate with your hand raised, if you are here for that and have a question you would like to at least be put. If not answered at this moment, at least raised so we can make a note of it, and then maybe at the next meeting, continuation, we would have answers, because some of the information might not be available. And I ask you just identify yourself for the record if you are going to ask a
John Holman,
question.
Silver Lake.
Thank you. Go ahead.
There was a second gentleman in the.
Yeah, so if you, can you just phrase your question for the record too, if you have one, is that? we won't
Yes,
necessarily-
question for the peer reviewers on this project, based on your review of the wetlands and the impact, the potential impacts of stormwater. Are there any areas to your mind that you feel either additional test pits or additional borings would better answer the question of the relationship between stormwater and wetlands, or clarify what's needed to mitigate any concerns
For this project.
for this project?
I don't really think we can answer that since we have not conducted a detailed stormwater review. We did indicate some locations where we thought additional test pits would be warranted based on this Conservation Commission review, and that's in our letter. But again, we have not conducted a full comprehensive stormwater review yet.
So, okay, that's
Right.
helpful. So some indication, but not complete.
So
Yeah,
I'll
Tom,
pause
go
that
ahead.
question and.
So we'll pause that question. That sounds like something we'll be able to follow up down the road.
Tom had.
Yeah, I was just gonna clarify that there were no, test pits in basin number 3. So that was our comment. I can't remember the number comment we had, but the
Okay,
other 2 basins, there were test pits, but there was no testing in basin 3.
okay, thank you, Tom. All right, sir, go ahead, Director Head.
Yes, Gavin Sherman from the Lake Hiawatha Association.
Okay.
I'd like to say something besides asking a question. I was just wondering, was there anybody here in this commission who was here when this proposal came through? Similar proposal like 8 years ago that was rejected, or is this a whole new commission? There's not that history.
No, there are, I'm the only member that's been here more than 8 years.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay, so you have a really good idea what happened back then. What we're concerned about, and what I don't think I heard mentioned at all, is this is a watershed area. It's called the Blackstone Watershed. So that whole property connects up to Lake Hiawatha, which ends up in Harris Pond, which is the water for Woonsocket, Rhode Island. So whatever happens to our lake, we are a major feeder of that pond and of Woonsocket. So you can imagine that the people in Lake Hiawatha, we're just not concerned about our lake, but it also what goes on beyond. So it's not just this little project sitting off of Bellingham or Blackstone Street. We're talking about a whole watershed area. Now, with the Blackstone, and I don't think it's been addressed here today, is with our lake, if you go there now, it's pretty high. And the reason it's pretty high isn't because any of the streams that normally run during this time of year, they're pretty much all dry. The reason why it's still relatively high is all the springs. And all the springs are on the north end of the lake. And all those freshwater springs are all part of that property. And that's what I know people have been talking about the vernal pools and everything else, but the water goes down and it ends up feeding our lake. There's been no study whatsoever about any of this property of where those streams are. So a house could be built and they put in a basement and there goes one of those springs.
So
We don't know.
let me just be clear, sir. Are you talking about above ground streams that are?
No,
additional?
I'm
So
talking
you're
about.
talking about the groundwater aquifer.
Yes,
Okay.
so in other words, our lake right now, if you look, all the above ground streams that the Goddard studies and they're dry, right? But the lake is only down about 1.5 inches, and you can go and you can check it yourself. Just, I don't want anybody to think I'm pulling anything. It's only down about 1.5 inches. And that's because the spring water that is fed from this watershed comes into our lake. And our lake feeds Harris Pond, which is the water supply of Woonsocket, Rhode Island. So I think it's really important when people look at this, they look at the big picture here, not just the appetizer, but look at what the entree could possibly do. And we're talking I think 150 homes. As Lou said at the last meeting, it's gonna go no matter what you people think. That's what he said. It's on the television and you can see it yourself. So this lake, our lake, we are extremely concerned, and not just for our lake. We're concerned about the watershed in total, that the possible disruption. And there's been no proof, even in the Goddard report, about anything that has to do with the underground springs that feed our lake. And if you don't believe me, come this winter, when the first freezes come over, if you go along the shoreline of the north shoreline, you will see the ice hasn't formed in multiple places all around the north end of the lake, because the water is moving from the springs that come from this property. So I'm just asking that people keep that in mind, that it's not just a couple vernal pools, it's not the beaver pond that's there, it's the whole watershed that we're dealing with.
Thank you for that point. Anyone else here? Sir? go ahead.
In Houston, 319 Blackstone Street. So I live 3 houses basically from where the vernal pool is. And to go back to Gavin's point, I believe he's referring to the Elm Shade project that was 2013, 2014. When it got rejected. But as far as, I'm not an expert on vernal pools, but I live 3 houses away. And depending on the year, every year it's impassable by even an ATV. But depending on the year, you may have to go 100 feet. So if you're heading towards Blackstone Street, which we're going south, you may have to go 100 feet in the opposite direction to pass it walking with a dog. So those vernal pools, they vary greatly year to year and season to season. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but one year it might, right now it's probably dry. But they are it's all over the place as far as where the level of the water is. And the water is completely over the road in the wintertime and in the spring. Just my point.
That road area, obviously being a low point right next to the vernal pool that's there, is gonna be for any kind of development project, it's gonna have to be very, very carefully looked at and dealt with, both engineering wise and environmental. So thank you for that observation of somebody right next to it who's seen it all.
Do we want to talk about that's the percent? Someone who can attend the meeting.
We should mention at least that they're there. I'm not sure we're gonna have time to address them right now, nor do we necessarily need to. I didn't look at the comments. Did you see anything pressing there that can't wait until, because we are gonna
I
have.
mean, there are questions for the peer reviewers. We
I
want to
did,
just.
I did send them to.
That's
peer
fine.
reviewers,
They've
so I
already
don't know
got
if they
them.
had a chance because it was, I think, Sunday, so.
Yeah, that's fine. I
I'll
think,
just reiterate for the audience then, that 3 questions were submitted to Hannah via email, and question 1, they were all addressed to the peer reviewer. Question 1 asked if they would consider quick stream crossing to be bordering land subject to flooding. They indicated that it's flooded for 4 to 6 months of the year, typically from mid to late February until mid to late July. Number 2, they asked, based on your assessment, do you have reason to believe that underground utilities would impact groundwater flow, impede drainage into Lake Hiawatha, causing backup into the vernal pool? And number 3, they asked, based on your review, do you have a reason to believe that the wetlands on the southerly side of the abandoned road have the physical characteristics consistent with the vernal pool? Are there any other areas which may exhibit physical characteristics consistent with the vernal pool, which should be re-explored in the spring? Specifically noting potential vernal pools mentioned in the Elm Shade project from 2014. So we don't expect answers to these tonight, but at our next hearing, hopefully we can get some answers.
We did review and give some initial consideration to those questions, and I'm happy to discuss briefly if the commission so pleases, but I would suggest that it's, in my opinion, a better process for the applicant to respond to inquiries and then the peer reviewer to review their information as opposed to developing new information by the peer reviewer. But I'm happy to talk through those questions.
Given that the scope was limited initially too. Okay, that's a good point. Thank you, Stacy. We'll share that information with the applicant. I'll make sure that those questions are forwarded along to the applicant to review. And as you said, that's probably more appropriate. They respond initially. Is there anyone else here in the room that didn't get a chance to ask a general question? Again, may not be answered tonight, but at least to bring it up so that it has been heard and, yeah. Okay. All right. So, I will accept a motion to continue this hearing to the evening of September 24th at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Don,
Second.
thank you, Ariane. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Pam,
Aye.
Nicole,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
Steve, James.
Aye.
Mike, aye. Okay, so we will continue this hearing for Blackstone Street. Notice of intent to the evening of September 24th at 7 p.m. And those of you who have been here for that, thank you very much. We'll keep the praise, keep checking the agendas and the notices posted on the town website, Conservation Commission website, and any other information that's available that we can post, we will do so, reports and such. Thank you very much. No, sorry,
Just
I'm
a
sorry.
disclaimer, if
Hannah-
there's specific things that you're looking for, feel free to email me, just because sometimes it's not like every single thing that's good put on the website.
Right, you don't put everything on the website, but if you have a question, you can always reach out to the Conservation Commission office, and Hannah can answer it, she'll be glad to do it all the time. It's very good about that. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
There is now that you mentioned, there is a brief thing now for these events.
Climate control or something.
Mr. Chair. I turned the air conditioning down.
Down, because you were hot?
Oh, my
All right,
God. It's shaking, yeah.
Everyone comfortable or did I go too far?
Comfortable.
All right, you spoke first, gets the.
Okay.
Don't ask the question.
Temperature is so
There's many
variable.
people in it.
Some people are comfortably cold,
Exactly.
some are not.
It's definitely warmer back here.
Okay. Right. There's that factor. Okay, thank you. We will, anything else, Santa, for this one that I can go. All right, so we'll move along to the next item on the agenda for tonight, and that is a new meeting for an RDA, special determination of applicability, for that stands for. For 155 Maple Street Transmission Line 26-2, 25-2, 20-2, and 19-2. Alteration of a buffer zone to BDW for the replacement of structure 441 along the C-129N transmission line. Laura Ernst, New England Power Company, is the applicant, and Alex Duria from TRC is the representative. And we see Alex online, and yes,
Recuse myself.
And
Discussion.
we have one of our members, James, is going to recuse himself from this discussion because of potential conflict with his employment, correct? Okay. The record, he can observe and cannot vote, but he will be able to. Don't proceed. All right, continuing with the presentation, Alex, are you going to do the presentation tonight?
Yes, forgive me,
Okay.
I'm not gonna turn my camera on because I don't think my internet will be able to handle it.
Okay, that's all right, thank you, as long as you can hear us and see us.
Yes.
Hear us at least, okay. Go ahead.
So, we'd like to, request a determination of applicability, for, this project, which is, off of Maple Street, as you had said. Basically, the project involves moving structure 441 back about no more than 10 feet out of the wetland into the BVW because there are concerns about the clearance of the utility line above the Charles River. The height is basically not up to the standard that the utility company would like. So the goal is to address that issue. The structure would be replaced, and a metal structure would be installed, and the wood structure would be removed. It's a slightly larger structure. And again, like I said, it would be moving back out of the wetland into the buffer. And there will be temporary, very minimal wetland impacts that will be restored post-construction. And this work is exempt under the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act per the utility maintenance provision. But the Bellingham doesn't explicitly have something recognizing this. So we wanted to file the RDA to verify that work can continue without an NOI filing.
Okay. So basically, the line is not high enough up over the Charles River. You want to make it higher, so you're putting a taller structure further back and pulling the lines somewhat to get it up higher?
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Layman's terms, okay. And is everyone clear where this area is?
I'm trying to, is this North Maple Street or South? Oh, there's.
It's just right off of Maple Street.
Yeah, but.
But on what
There's
end?
kind of there's the loop
Where's
is that right
195?
over here.
Usually.
It's right near the gas company's property, if that
Okay.
helps.
Yeah,
Where the old, I think, the old, my Lochner's sort of near there.
Well, there's the power company. I'm not sure what she means by gas.
Near the edge of Maple Beach Country Club.
Okay.
Right near the.
Okay, so which is sort of near.
Focus.
You said my Lochner's old.
Yep.
Okay. All right, yeah, so it's the north end of Maple Street and past 495 a ways.
Right,
Okay.
That power plant.
by the power.
Yeah, not too far from the power plant. Okay, questions? This is something where we have had requests in the past by power companies to do things, and as Hannah's pointing out in some of the notes she's done along our way, that there seems to be not a need, as we've just had stated by Alex, that they go through the WPA, EP. But Barry? That's not right. Speak up.
Installation of directly embedded utility poles and switches, anchors, switch braces, et cetera, along existing paved or unpaved roadways and private roadways / driveways. Well, existing rights of way provided,
It's like this first sentence would be it.
provided that the work is conducted within 10 feet of road and driveway.
We're checking something, Alex. Hold on, please.
Okay.
At the very least, I will say, having the utility companies being willing to enable, and willing to, and in the past have done so pretty consistently, come to us and informed us about planned projects like this, even if the scope is limited, impact is limited, it's gonna be restored afterwards, and is in their area of, owned land, and, that's under their ability to do things as they need to and want to, whether it's weed control or, moving power lines or adjusting things, repairing. It's helpful for us to know on the conservation side and to be able to appraise residents if they ask a question, even if we don't have a jurisdiction per se, that we're aware of it. So it's appreciated even if we don't have a whole lot of say about it. But in this particular case, it does seem fairly limited in scope.
No, it's just an idea.
And it's just an RDA, as we've had mentioned. So does anybody else have any questions about this? When would you want to do the work, Alex?
The timeline as it stands now, I think we would want to start construction in early February.
Okay, so it's fairly dry, hopefully. We'll see. February, who knows what's gonna be like.
And how long is it anticipated to last?
That is a good question. I don't know if I have the answer for you, but I can get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Less than a month.
Alex,
Less than-
you're doing this because the lines don't clear the Charles enough?
To be honest, I'm not exactly sure what the new requirements are as far as the distance from wetlands or water bodies that they would like the utility lines to be. But I think this is a new protocol that they're implementing in this particular area, along with a couple other stretches in different towns, are not quite up to that level.
I'm
shocked.
well, there's.
They're
I
very
haven't seen
high
any
still.
recent shipping traffic.
No tankers have come to Charles recently. Yes, get caught on lines. Yeah, I'm sure, just as a layman, the higher they can get those lines away from water, the
Right.
better for everything and everybody.
Like
So,
flooding.
Yes.
and-
yeah, I'm sure these lines are well up above what you would think is normal, but I'm sure that they have their reasons for wanting to. It's gonna cost them money to do this and
Yeah.
effort and so forth, so they wouldn't do it if they
Yeah.
didn't feel they had to.
It does say in the letter, that it's the utility poles experience regular disturbance due to maintenance activities since it's been installed, so I don't know if there's just been. some
That
other-
particular site, those poles.
That specific. That's just something that was noted in the letter.
Say that again, Hannah, or take me to it.
Sorry, I just.
The thing's 160.
I know.
feet long.
It's gotta be.
Well, given that it was a wooden pole that you're, or wooden structure that you're replacing and it says been disturbed periodically, the first
Oh,
thing I
sorry.
think it was
So this-
beaver, but.
This wetland is within a right of way and is directly adjacent to a utility pole that has experienced regular disturbance due to maintenance activities since it had been installed. So the wetland just in that area has been regularly disturbed.
Yeah,
I'm sure why,
I
but.
think photo number 4 shows it. Photo, it says the photo from across the road facing the northwest towards the existing structure, which is to the right of the access road. You can see it.
Well,
Yeah.
my questions are more from a curiosity standpoint than. In fact, the things are pretty high as they are, but
Yeah.
if there's a ongoing maintenance issue and it's periodically
Disturbed, hopefully moving it
big
away,
or showing problems, then it's gotta get fixed.
moving it away from just from the wetlands into a BBZ, BDW is a better thing. It's.
Yep.
It'd be great if we can move to some uplands, but that's not possible. All right, any other questions for this particular RDA? Yeah, representative, okay. All right, I will accept a motion if anyone wants, they are asking for an RDA here. Someone will make an.
So the motion would be to,
Negative determination.
Yeah,
for vote,
negative
if you feel that's the
determination.
case, if that's the case, if that's your wish,
Negative determination without making any determination of the wetland matter.
right,
that's the usual.
a negative determination without making a, how do you phrase that?
Any determination.
Any determination
in the
Oh.
wetland boundaries.
on the wetland boundaries.
All right, Anna's got that, I think. All right, so we have a motion, I'll look for a second.
Second.
My first second. Come on.
She was quick.
Second.
Thank you, okay, any other discussion about this? Pam, any questions?
Nope.
Okay,
One question,
yes, Steve.
will there be power outages during the work?
That I'm not actually sure. I think usually when they do this work, there is, but I don't have a definitive answer, but I can get that for you.
Not during the Syracuse football game, okay?
She's powerless to control that decision. All right, moving right along to a vote here, Nicole. On the RDA, yes, or
Yes.
negative, George, okay. That's what.
Aye.
Aye. Mary Ann, sorry.
Aye.
Thank you, Steve.
Aye.
James has recused himself, Pam,
Aye.
and Mike, aye. Okay, so it's unanimous 6-0, with one, abstention for confusion. Thank you. All right, that helps us. Thank you. Alex, you're good. Any other questions on your end?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing this information to our attention. Appreciate it. Have a nice night.
You're welcome. You as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, So moving right along to the next RDA, which is for a new meeting. 29 Iris Lane. If anyone's here for Iris Lane, please come up to the front and sit at the table so we can hear and see you. This is for the alteration of a buffer zone to a BVW for the construction of a garden. I'm gonna ask you to say your name so I won't mispronounce it.
Ramchandran Maheshwaram, I'm from 29 Irish Lane, Bellingham.
Thank you. And Paul McManus, Macotech is your representative. Is he here tonight? Going to help?
Sorry.
That might just be a typo.
That was a typo. Okay,
Sorry
so
about that.
you're just
That's
representing
not on the
yourself.
regular agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, if you'd like to just,
Format change.
welcome for coming. Thank you for coming. If you'd like to just briefly describe, we have had some information that Hannah's provided for us that you gave her. So we're somewhat familiar with the project, but if you want to just briefly describe it for our information and for the public that might be sitting here, who might have butters.
Yeah, this project is about building a garden within the buffer zone, within 30 feet of buffer zone. The plan is to have some garden for organic vegetables, flower beds and some fruits. Since I have a toddler, like 1.5, I want to feed him more organic veggies kind of stuff. Like
I'm sure they'll love that organic vegetables. All little kids love vegetables. Okay, I'm sorry. So your area, the area that you are impacting is close to how close are we to the 25 foot plan I'm looking at?
Is there a plan?
There was something in the portal, but I'm trying
There is,
to.
I'm trying. to
Yeah.
find it.
Pictures, but not a-
It said, I believe it was, by memory, 40 feet.
30 feet.
How many?
Overall, there is a 70 feet.
Oh, 70 feet, so it was handwritten.
70 feet from where?
From
to
the
where?
wetlands.
From where
30
the edge
feet
of the
from-
garden, the back edge of the garden is to the wetlands is
Yes.
70 feet, 70 feet. And it slopes downward, I believe, in that direction somewhat, yes?
WPA Form 1.
It slopes downwards towards the wetlands from the garden area that you're gonna, where you stop the garden, yes? Does the ground slope in that direction?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a natural ground flow. You don't have to dig it to get flow. And, oh, here we go. Now we see sort of. Good, thank you, that's helpful.
The neighboring property.
Yeah, we have this is familiar to us because we do have another Iris, Lane, a neighbor of yours who's done the same kind of request. They were doing a little bit different work on their property because the layout of their backyard is a little different than yours. I understand that you have a number of small saplings and trees and so forth. How much stuff are you planning on clearing, if any, in that area that's the 70 feet? Well, from the,
When I look at the. I mean, some-
okay, so there's some pictures that we're seeing. And,
So this is my
30.
right, okay,
So I'll clear those small bushes that you have, and I won't touch anything
I was thinking.
taller, larger.
so when you say the small bushes, how tall, because it's hard to tell in this picture how tall some of that stuff is. I see a fence and a little raised bed next to it that looks like about 4 or 5 feet tall.
Is that all pine trees?
Is that stuff, is the brush that you're talking about removing the small stuff that height, or is it
Yeah,
taller than?
the one that at the edge of the picture you have, right?
So I just see it up there.
Yeah,
So this small pine tree here,
yes,
so are you going back in that direction or just sideways?
sideways.
Just sideways, so the ferns and things like that.
Yeah, so there's a pine here.
Yeah, there's pine here,
Pine.
white pine,
Yeah.
some of those small pines, but
Yes.
not the bigger trees there. And how far past the garden that's there now, are these trees? Are they further back? It's hard to tell in this picture. Are they in line with it?
Very close to
They're
that.
very close to it, okay.
Additional questions, observations?
So the garden that's in the picture, is that depicted on the plan with the 3 gardens? Or is that different?
No, that's outside the buffer zone currently, so that's just in their lawn.
Mr. Chair, I'd want to make a site visit. I'm not a fan of disturbing buffer zones for vegetable gardens. I don't see the need.
Certainly reasonable to see what we're looking at there. Hannah, you've been out to say?
I'm personally a little confused about where
Yeah.
the buffer zone starts and stops with this.
So, the wetland is located off the property.
Right.
And then there's about 100 feet, and then the edge of the lawn is at the 100-foot buffer zone. And that small little vegetable garden is right on the edge interior, like outside the 100 foot.
That burn line is essentially the buffer zone.
Yes, exactly. So anything interior of that photo that I took, like that was, 30 feet. So all of those trees between trees/saplings between where I have my little measuring tape and the edge of the lawn is within that 30 foot that they're requesting.
We're clearing about a 30-foot wide section of the entire width of the property.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And I
that's-
did
that's
request,
accurate.
I don't know if you had
Yeah.
any additional information, because we did talk on site about getting a little bit more information regarding how many trees you wanted to cut down. So I wasn't sure if that was something that you brought for today.
No, like those were small trees, like around the 2 to 4 inch diameters. Like we will clear those, but anything that's larger than that, we won't.
So if there was a larger tree than 2 to 4 inches in diameter of saplings, you plan on leaving it where it is, even if you have to work around it for the garden?
Yeah.
Because
I don't-
gardening with trees doesn't usually
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't understand how that would work with wouldn't that just shade the garden? Is that
Well,
what
I
you all
think-
are saying?
I think that Steve's suggestion of having a site visit is certainly warranted in this case. It's a fairly large area. The other person was doing something in quite different scope, and I think more of their land was already cleared in back there. And as Steve has pointed out, buffer zones are sensitive areas. The other consideration is, looking at this, the slope and future owners of an area that's been cleared while it's natural organic gardening now, and there's no preservative, pesticides or herbicides, fertilizers and so forth like that being used, probably because it's organic, that's your plan now. If somebody buys the property down the road, this area is cleared and now it looks like lawn to them with some gardens, and they don't want to do gardens and they want to make it all grass and then fertilize it, then there's a downward slope already going into the wetlands, which now doesn't have this buffer that's there. So that's why we're cautious about doing this. I'm not saying anything like yes or no now. I think we want to take the next step, which might be, if the commission's wanting to do that, take a site visit and see what we see.
And if I,
Mr. Chair, could,
The trees are there because that was like a buffer that was left from the original development.
Could be very well.
could we have the applicant stake the intended
So
garden areas and
to kind of clarify do you mind, just to clarify Ariane's question?
Sure.
For the original development, they just maintained the 100-foot buffer zone so that so that the house on the property wouldn't need an NOI. So if they'd gone into it, they would have had to submit an NOI, but because,
That's outside the 100-foot.
yeah, so that was just kind of what a lot of the properties there are, so sorry.
Okay, that's good.
two comments. Could the applicant stake the garden areas and flag the trees that want to come down? Why?
Can they or
Can they, for the site visit?
That would probably be good, yeah.
Okay,
And the other is, in a recent application, we looked at this buffer zone was very dry.
the neighboring property.
Is it,
That was previously cleared, though, that's why.
okay,
Yeah, I think they were talking about that property, that yard was very rough, and they want to smooth out some of the rough spots. Where
and it was
water
minor
mosquitoes and
impact
stuff.
and it
Yeah.
wasn't really
It was
This is
performing.
Are they your immediate neighbors on one side or the other? Okay, so right next door, you're saying is this neighbor?
Yeah, you can see the erosion fencing in one of the pictures.
Yeah, okay,
That's that.
all right.
but just for clarification, it looks like, if I understand it right, it's 30 feet in, but it's 130 feet, 134 feet wide.
Okay.
So that's about 4,000 square feet.
If we can do a site visit, I'm available Saturday or Sunday or Monday.
Neighbors in weekend?
Not Monday.
Not Monday. Forget it. There's no chance anybody's gonna go Monday. Okay, well, let's see what the commission's wishes on that. All right, so are you clear what we would like to see? And is it possible that in the next couple of days you could mark out where the gardens would be that you want to put in, that you're asking?
I'm flying to Dallas tomorrow.
Okay, that's
for
why
the-
we're asking.
For the long weekend, I'll be back on Wednesday,
Okay,
and I will show you next week.
okay, that's fine, that's fine. That's why we want to make sure we approach it,
It's gonna be in the weekend for me.
right, we get, usually a Saturday morning is when the commission is available, about 8:30, 9 o'clock to go out. Right, okay, so we would get.
So kind of, I guess, in this case, it sounds like if you do not have enough information to make the decision, you would be able to deny the request for determination of applicability or request from the applicant to allow additional time to
Okay.
get that information rather than just denying it.
Because then they would just have to go through the process again of adding another RDA submitted, which
Yeah.
seems like a lot of extra work when we're moving forward on this. Sure, so you have two choices right now. We can say, no, we don't want to have this go forward the way it is now. Or we can say, if you're willing to give us an extension of time, so you can mark out the sites we need to after your holiday, and we can get together sometime in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
If that's good, then we don't have to do any more paperwork, and that saves us all out there. Okay, so I think that's the second option we want to exercise. It makes sense. Okay, so, if you, let me see what the availability of members would be, since there seems to be indication of wanting to do a sidewalk for the weekend of the Saturday, the 13th of September, the next one after the Labor Day holiday. Oh, yeah, I'm saying, hold on. I'm ahead of myself.
Sixth.
All right, second, thank you, the 6th. Are you back?
On Wednesday,
Which day are you back?
Wednesday,
Wednesday, the 3rd?
30.
Okay, the 3rd of September, okay. So the question.
We've asked them to do some things. Will we
Right,
have enough
that's what I
time?
was about to ask. Okay, so if you got back on Wednesday the 3rd, not to rush you, because we can put it off if we need to, but we want to pick the right weekend. Would you need more time from the 3rd to the 6th to make sure everything's marked out? Would you like to go for the following weekend, perhaps, the weekend of the 13th of
Yeah,
September?
that was.
That would be better for you? Okay. All right, so let me see, what availability do board members who wish to go have for the 13th? Just give me some indication, yes, no?
I could do
Sure.
the
Do it in the
13th
morning.
in the morning.
Okay, maybe?
If I'm back, I will, yep.
Okay, all right, so it sounds like we have 4 or 5 members of the commission that would come out on 13 at, let's say, 8:30 to, is there room in front of on your street to park?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just park right by 20 minutes.
And so we'd like the intended garden areas to be staked off.
Okay.
So we can see where they'd be. And trees you want take down need to be flagged.
Just a piece of, tape around it, that's fine. And just 4 posts, you don't have to put a fence up or anything for the garden areas you want to do, just a couple of posts in the ground, something marked, so we can tell where they are, and you'll be pointing them out just because you'll be there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll plan on a sidewalk, to 29 Iris Lane, and we have permission for continuation from the applicant to, not have to redo the paperwork. I don't think we have.
Oh.
You need to motion can be continued,
Motion
and
to
if it's gonna be on the 13th, the site walk, the next available date for that would be the 24th, so
Right.
continue to the 24th.
Okay, so we will accept a motion as Hannah suggested, to continue this to the evening of September 24th, and we are going to be continuing with making use of a extension that has been approved by the applicant. I'll take a motion for that. If
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Nicole,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Marianne?
Aye.
Steve? James?
Aye.
Mike, aye. Okay. So, sir, we will, you have Hannah's number, yes, okay, so if something comes up, you can let her know if there, problem happens to the property, something happens in the next couple of weeks. But otherwise, we'll plan on coming out on the 13th of September, Saturday morning, about 8:30, if whoever shows up, will show up right around that time, and we'll do a quick walkthrough, see what you have marked out. And we don't discuss anything on the site, just ask questions if we aren't clear on something, but we'll come back to the meeting on the 24th, and then we'll review what we said, okay? All right, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
It's 29 Iris. All right, everybody's got that on their calendars, good. Next time on the agenda is new hearing for 12 Monique Drive, notice of intent. After the fact notice of intent for the construction of a shed and chicken coop within buffer zone to BVW. Bruno Blanchard is the applicant from 12 Monique, and Nicole Hayes from Goddard is the representative. And if you would like to come up front, that'd be great.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Hayes, professional wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting here for the applicant. I have the green cards.
Sure, hold on. Is that-
I also have, some photographs, that might help with discussion.
These what's in the package online?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have it up here, so I don't see that makes.
Okay, if you'd like to describe the project.
So, the first page is an existing conditions plan. So this is an after the fact notice of intent for, a few things that were done within buffer zone. Work includes, there was a pile of dirt that was located within, the wetland resource. There were 4 trees that were cut, 3 at 3 to 6 inch DBH and 1 at 6 to 10 inch DBH. There was also a chicken coop that was installed.
How long's that been there?
The chicken coop, 2 years.
A shed and some fencing. And that existing conditions plan that shows you the locations.
So the chicken coop is currently on the wetland line,
No. The dark blue is the wetland line.
and it's right beside it.
Yes, it's within the 0 to 25 foot at the current time.
Okay, let me define what I mean by on. It's within a few feet, not literally on the line. It's well within.
It's directly adjacent, right?
No, we moved the chicken coop.
It was originally.
So there is a chicken coop there that's close to the wetland line. We are proposing to move the chicken coop. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still talking about existing conditions. So, yes, and in the notice of intent packet, I talk about the exact, distances and square footage of each of the work that was done. So the dirt pile was removed off-site by the landowners, so that is taken care of. The chicken coop, which is 202 square feet, is within the 0 to 25 foot buffer zone. The shed, which is 359 square feet, is also adjacent within the 0 to 25 foot buffer zone. And there is a section of fencing within the 25 to 50 foot. And another section of fencing within the 50 to 100 foot. So the proposed mitigation is to move the chicken coop out of the 0 to 25 foot buffer zone into the 50 foot. And as exactly, thank you for that, you can see that that square is where the location is proposed to be of the chicken coop. The shed, which is a large shed and would be very difficult to move, in order to mitigate for that work, we're proposing a large planting area, which I'll continue to talk about more in a second. The fencing within the 25 to 50 foot will be removed, and a line of 6 native shrubs will be planted in that spot. So the chicken coop will be moved out of the inner buffer zone to approximately the 50 foot as shown on that plan there. The shed, we are proposing to mitigate with a 2,500 square foot planting area. And I can show you that's right there on that.
In the wetland.
Yes, and I've determined that was a good place for it to enhance the wetland area, because right now, and according the photos that I gave you,
That area of the wetland is purely herbaceous right now. There is no trees and shrubs in that wetland area. So to enhance, and there's the picture, the lower picture right in there. That shrub line is multiflora rose, and that is on the upland side of the wetland. So for the trees that were cut, we're proposing 9 2 to 3 inch caliper trees. 6 of them will be red maple and 3 will be tupelo. And we're proposing 20 shrubs, 10 sweet pepper bush and 10 high bush blueberry within that area to enhance the wildlife habitat and all the other protections of the act to increase the wetland area. If you don't like that and you'd rather have a buffer zone planting, we can discuss that. But this is, we're bringing this forth to discuss. So the square footage of impact is 749 square feet. We are mitigating 2,596 square feet, which is a mitigation ratio of 3 to 1. And that's what we're bringing before you. Of course, we would take
The shed is how big?
suggestions.
The shed is how big?
The shed is 359 square feet.
And you're proposing an impact area of 7?
The total impact is 749 square feet.
Okay. Anything else to present before I open up for questions? Good?
No.
Okay. Questions, James?
I mean, I'm gonna agree with the sentiment that I think Steve is erring on with his questioning, that I don't necessarily agree with this large of an additional, I understand it's planting plan, but it's also additional impact to the actual BBW on site. As opposed to mitigation for the buffer zone that was impacted from the unpermitted work. I guess question for Nicole, since you're a plant person here. Not all tupelo species are native to Mass.
The black tupelo is, but there are cultivars of certain things like the arborvitae, like we have to make sure that's not like a western arborvitae. It's like Thuja occidentalis, which is kind of, I mean, you don't see them like rampant in the woods. They're considered native to Massachusetts. And like blueberries, like it has to be straight Vaccinium corimbosum. Sweet pepperbush has to be straight like plethora, alnifolia. It can't be like 16 candles or anything like that.
I think I'd like a little bit more clarity on the planting plan.
Okay,
Species specific.
okay, species, okay.
I also concur that I don't really see planting in a wetland resource as mitigation.
Can I just make one note about, part of the, I think part of the reason, this may not change, I mean, because the shed is there, was the trees that were cut were in the wetland. So I don't know if that's part of the reasoning.
Trees that were cut were in the no disturb zone.
No, the trees that were cut around, like in the wetland area that was around the shed.
To the
I think
right
they
of
were
where the
cut
shed
to
was.
install the shed, so that those were cut within the wetland. So I don't know if that impacts.
If I
mean,
may,
the shed is in.
looking at photograph 4, the open wetland area, that to me, I mean, it's not like the greatest photo, but it looks like there could have been trees there before that were cut at some point. Is that correct?
I didn't see any stumps while I was in there.
Okay,
There was no evidence of that.
okay.
I feel like putting trees in there would alter the hydrology of
Well,
whatever's going on.
Bigger question I have is, could red maples grow, given the fact that you're backing this planting area up against a wooded, looks like quite large trees in the background, both from the aerial shot as well as from this photo number 4. How well are these trees gonna grow in an area that's already shaded and it's a wetland? Herbaceous or not, wetland is wetland, and there may be some wildlife and other factors that are substantial enough that disturbing it and planting a bunch of trees in which may or may not take. And again, I defer to Nicole's expertise there, because I really don't know, but I'd hate to set it up to fail by having a big impact in a wetland area. This might be the problem.
Red maples like partial shade, they will establish in a partially shaded area. Black tupelos, you can see like if you're along a stream, they're usually on the fringes because they like sunlight. So it might be harder for those to establish within shady conditions.
And just, there's one other observation, and looking at the compass on the aerial shot of either one, the before or proposed after. It looks like we have the wooded area with the trees that are visible in winter view or whatever it is, taller stuff. Is probably going to be shading from the south exposure and the east primary two locations, quite a bit of the day will be shaded, so it's gonna impact, I mean, you're backing up against the woods that is getting sun trying to come through it. Not the other way around necessarily as much. Good, Steve or Aaron, whoever was gonna speak.
Or,
Okay.
my position is slightly different from the growth. It's a precedent setting issue. We've had a number of post-event intrusions come before us in the last year where we had the structures removed and put back. It'd be difficult to grant permission here and not expect to see them come back and ask, where's the change?
How's the shed constructed? Is it on a pad?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd personally prefer to see like that multi-floor rows taken out of there. And then maybe like similar native vegetation. Replacement.
But keep it herbaceous.
Yeah. I mean, like. Yeah, it's not we get out.
I also would like to see, I'm sorry, you know,
Go ahead.
I think I'd also like to see the site, just exactly where the wetlands. Especially in contrast to the precedent setting position. Those others, there were very clear water, very close.
How long has the shed been there? You said the chicken coop was 2 years. Has the shed been there the same period of time?
The new shed that I have there has been there for about 2 years, but I've had a previous shed there for 25 years. What happened was a tree from the wetlands fell over onto the shed. That's why I replaced the shed. As far as the open space goes that you folks are talking about, those are all trees that fell over in the wetlands. There's rotten stumps there. You can come on and observe and take a look. The trees are well overgrown. Once again, come on, take a look at the site. It'll explain itself why all those trees fell over in that open area.
I want to revisit a question. So the existing shed, although it's been there 2 years, is on the platform of a previous shed that was there 25?
Been there about 25 years, yes.
Do we have a,
So part of the reason for it was expanded and then there's, like electricity and stuff going to the site. So but this was all in response to that enforcement order that we issued a while ago.
was the original shed permitted?
The 25 years ago, I don't believe so. Not that I.
How long have you owned property, sir?
1984.
So say 84 years now.
No, 1984.
Okay. Thank you. So there are 2 issues that I'm hearing from the commission. One is the precedent setting of leaving a shed in an area that is not appropriate for the to be in, and precedent that might start. And the other question is wanting to see the site just to observe and make a determination on site of where the wetland line is and those, some of the layout.
Timing of that change your opinion a little bit?
Yeah.
A little bit. I was waiting to say the fact that I assume we can get historical pictures to validate that. So it's not a new intrusion, it's a replacement of a previous
With a little bit.
prior to the possibly.
Yeah, the
Did you put
enhancement,
the original shed up?
Yes.
Not asking the question, did you get a permit for the original shed? I noticed that, the question's not asked. 25 years ago, sometimes the building department didn't follow up on that stuff, even if you were willing and able. But
I'd like to see what's going on there, I think. At the moment, my position would be no, but I think it would be irresponsible to the applicant for me to make that decision without seeing real.
Well, we do have,
Not the same area of town. How close is Monique to
It's right next to Mason School, or where Mason School used to.
and ours is down now though, where,
I don't think it's even around.
and if just having another trip scheduled in not too far a future.
Can't be that far apart.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Bellingham's not that big.
right, Bellingham's not that big, we're supposed to be. So,
Pretty long, but.
is the site,
Nobody got
are the 25-foot, and the 50-foot lines, as well as the wetlands line marked in any way?
The wetland line was delineated, the
Flag's still there.
flags are
Okay.
still there. Yep, I just delineated that, this summer. The buffer zones and everything else was measured, but there is no, flags or stakes in the field at the different buffer zone.
Well, you know, commission members, if you do go out to see it, what do you want to see marked?
Wetland, line,
Yeah, I mean, we
and the area of planning.
we can measure off the buffers.
Well, that's fine, just want to make sure that if the applicant's gonna prepare anything, that we have it ready, because we don't want to show up and say, oh, you didn't mark well.
The planning area, we can see it's not the backyard.
I do have an additional question about the proposed
Okay.
plan. In the picture, it looks like the chicken coop is going to be straddling the 50-foot buffer line, but in the proposal, it says that the entirety of the chicken coop is going in the 50 to 100-foot.
Which means it needs to slide forward, is that gonna be happening? Because you got it right bisected by the line.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
See the blue line up there, it cuts right through the middle of the new location for the chicken shed?
Right.
The plans that you're submitting and the notice indicates that you're gonna have it forward closer to the house inside of that blue line, not straddling it, because that's on the line and half's in the 50 and half's in the 25. And it says it's gonna be in the 50. So either you gotta move it forward or you're not asking to have it put inside the 50. We just wanna be clear on what it is. There's different information.
Somebody from the, somebody came out and approved to put the chicken coop there.
It's Dylan.
The Dills.
Oh, it's Board of Health.
He didn't approve, he approved the chicken coop for that reason, because, like your ability to keep animals, he didn't say that you could put the coop in that exact location, but the concern with Board of Health, he was out there because the septic system is right nearby, and that they should not put the chicken coop on the septic system, so that
Chicken
limits.
well on top of subject.
Yeah, so that limits where they can put it. So I think they were just saying that in the narrative of it, it says that it's gonna be outside the 50-foot versus the plans show.
But it's
inside the
straddling
50
it,
foot.
yeah.
Yeah, so he
Okay.
kind of described why.
Okay.
So yeah, as Ariane pointed out, if the septic system and the Board of Health have a say about where the chicken coop should not go, we need to see pretty clearly that it's not gonna be going where they're saying to not put it. So on this plan, it would be helpful to have something, a dotted pink line or something indicating where the septic system is that the Board of Health doesn't want you to have this thing on top of. So if you're locating it outside of the 50, and that's part of your change that you're gonna be doing, or you're not asking to move outside the 50, you wanna have to stay there for some reason, we still would wanna know where the septic system is to be sure that the Board of Health is, and you want to be sure too, because you don't want the Board of Health coming back saying, hey, you put it on top of the septic, we told you not to. So you should mark that somewhere.
Yep, and your septic system is near the house.
But think about the septic, Hannah,
Oh, it's behind.
the septic still say not on top of the leach field or the septic tank or something?
Yeah, not on top of the field or the tank,
Okay.
the whole system.
So the whole system, tank and leach field, he doesn't want the Board of Health does not want the chicken coop on top of that, so.
I have a plan at home, sure.
Okay, so you know where that stuff is, you can mark it up and we can get that revised.
Yes.
All right, so it sounds like the commission wants to do a sidewalk and see some of this stuff, having some of that either on a plan clearly indicating that it's now clear of that and where you're gonna be moving the chicken coop for sure. And or on site marking it, well, if we're gonna be out there, this is where the chicken coop's gonna be, just 4 posts in the ground is good, and yeah, but it's essentially gonna be moved. No, it's really bad. Okay, or, all right, so the question is. Oh, yeah. Oh, it marked out that way, okay, yeah, so, if that information is available, we have wetlands line marked. we're gonna know where the septic and the tick coop is really gonna be located, and we can measure off, as James said. Make sure it's outside 50 or outside 25, whatever it's gonna be. Is the 13th work for people to extend and have a second sidewalk?
Yeah.
First off, for the commission members, that's we're already going out.
I could do that,
8:45?
yes.
All right, 8:45. You're ambitious. 8:30 is the first one, and you think we're 15 minutes, we're gonna be up to the other side. All right.
So sidewalk is the 13th, and then the hearing is gonna be, what, the 24th?
It would have to be put up till 24th, just like this one was, yeah. I like the previous one, progress was, but, okay, so it looks like we would like to do a sidewalk on the 13th, 9-ish, let's say, most ballpark, you're at home, so we'll come knock on the door, but around that time, would that work for you?
And the first one's 8:30?
Yeah, that's right, what initially?
Maybe 9:30.
Thought it was 8:00.
I don't think I've ever said it, like, just because I'm so used to saying 8:30. Okay, so we'll say maybe a little bit later, maybe more towards 9:30, depends how long the first one we're down in Iris Lane, and it's gonna take a little bit of time to get back up to the other, wherever you were there, and Monique, so. We'll plan on between 9:30 sometime in that, or whenever we get from one to the other. Sidewalk at 12 Monique. And we will take a motion unless there's additional questions or clarifications.
Just one.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
What's in the shed?
I got a wood stove in there, toolbox in there.
Don't give away anything valuable, you're on the public.
All right.
It's your house right now.
Lawn maintenance stuff, my weed whacker.
Hazardous materials of any type, oil, again, all over the wall.
Lawnmower against the house, my snow blowers in the house, no gas powered units back there, or anything like that.
Oil leakage and stuff like that, it's a sensitive area, that's a concern, good points too. Any other questions initially for the applicant, before any other information gonna be wanted, look for? Okay. So I'll accept the motion to continue this hearing with the applicant's permission to extend for the RDA.
Not to NOI.
Oh, sorry, thank you, Mari, NOI, I was looking one line up. For the NOI for 12 and 8, to the evening of September 24th, at 7 PM or thereabouts on the agenda.
So moved.
I always like to hear. All right,
I
sir,
won't be present on September 24th. That makes a difference to you folks.
not as long as you have a representative here, if you, you can be up there, the call thing. Okay. So Nicole's here, you don't have to be, that's fine. I'm sure she'll, hopefully every question will be answered. If you want to touch base with Hannah a couple days before the meeting, just make sure she's got everything she needs, that'd be prudent of you. Hurts. Okay, so we have no more discussion about that, I'll take a vote, James. Steve.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
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 Pam.
Hi.
All right, yeah, that's right, okay, so. The 24th, we'll have the hearing, but we'll do the sidewalk on the 13th.
13th, 9 o'clock, 9:30.
As soon as we get the one together, we'll delay and we'll.
I'll be there at 9:15.
Here's that. Okay, thank you for coming in. tonight,
Thank
sir.
you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we went on, yeah.
Lakeview Ave.
We have a new hearing for an NOI for Lakeview Ave, 65-17. A lot, that's a lot. Yes. Designation, street address. Construction of a single-family home, and this is a new single family, by the way, within the buffer zone to BBW. Quarry Development LLC, 180 Blackstone Street, Main Street, Blackstone is the applicant, and the representative Seth LaJoy Associates are from Salem, Massachusetts. Seth, welcome.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
Okay.
I'm here representing Quarry Development tonight. They have a lot at the end of Lakeview Avenue right here. That they're looking to develop a 3-bedroom house. There is existing town water. And they're looking to put the septic in the back, which pretty much is as far away from the pond as we could get it here.
And it's cut into the hillside, that's a very steep hill.
It's a very steep hillside. It is cut into the hillside, and we're able to do that because it's bank run gravel. So they're gonna,
Because it's what?
it's gravel. The whole hillside is gravel. So there's the water table is essentially the lake in that particular area. So are using the house essentially as a retaining wall. The septic system will be in the back, that's gonna be their lawn area, and then pretty much, you know, this back area is gonna, they're just gonna cut it up. to the existing grade.
The road side.
From the front of the house to the pavement is probably about 15 feet because of well, there's,
Tiny lot.
it's a tiny lot, but also there's an existing easement that goes to the front of the lot that the actual pavement to the road is on. So part of the lot is under the pavement. I actually staked out this property corner is off the pavement on the opposite side of the road. And this one is a magnail that's driven into the pavement of the road. So I mean, it's tight for sure. Hannah had a couple of questions in regards to some of these flags. She wanted to see them moved, which I did, I mean, we're talking real minuscule. We had one, this one was moved 3 feet forward. This one was 2 feet and this one was 1 foot. And if you can't see it real well here, but this is the old buffer zone right here. And it pretty much matches up once we get onto the lot. It really didn't change anything essentially.
There's no BBW on the lot itself, it's just across.
No, it's the pond. It's like a real small strip that's associated with the pond across the street. So
How far is the septic system from the street?
from the street,
Yeah, just to give me an idea, well, actually, from the edge of the wetlands. but-
okay, so this is the,
Probably 100 feet.
it's
Right,
about, well, it's about 98. It's
About
the
98 feet.
the edge of it is 98. So this is the 100-foot line right here.
Then you're
Okay.
just trying.
And this is the septic
Yeah,
system.
you're like right there. Okay, so.
So it's pretty, I mean, it's,
And does it look like there's gonna be, not that we have any jurisdiction at all, but just curious, any other issues with building?
I've
Or health
actually,
or anybody else?
I've actually already sat down with the building inspector on this, and he's the one who gave me the building envelope for this lot. So
Board of Health is okay with the septic?
Board of Health has approved the septic, yeah,
They approved this?
yeah. I'm 99% sure about that. I can get you the.
Okay.
It's not
I
gonna-
had talked to Dylan, I'm just.
Well, that's an easy verification. We just obviously want to make sure the septic is approved as part of the project before we. Have any final stuff?
Can you bring up, the photograph of page 1?
I'm just the photos.
Yeah, it's the overall.
Sure.
The site plan photo that shows 107, the neighbor's house.
Yeah, just to give an idea, kind of, it's tough to see without an aerial.
Sir, do you know where the septic is for the neighboring houses?
Well, it's an undeveloped lot immediately below it. I think that's, Hannah told me that.
107 has a house.
No, I'm talking about the one below it, just that they
By
could.
neighboring, I mean 107 and 97.
Okay, gotcha.
No, sir, I don't know where those septic systems are.
The house to the left in the back that you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
It's in the, facing the house, it's in the back right corner.
Thank you.
I put it in.
You put it in. So
Yeah, so you know,
Kind of,
where it is.
we rehabbed that house, cleaned it up a lot years ago.
So the existing septics are set back a fair amount from where this one is proposed.
Yep.
This looks like this lot is a peel off of what was the larger lot. Is that correct?
I mean, these lot lines are taken from a land court plan that was done in, I want to say the 50s, but I mean, it's been a while since I looked at this. But it was, they're, well, I mean, are you familiar with where these are, when these lots were created?
It's irrelevant.
But may have been for summer cottages when the tiny lot could have made do, back in the day.
And prior to the Wetlands Protection Act.
All right, additional questions for Seth or?
Yes.
So on the application it says tree cutting, list the number of trees and approximate diameter of the trees, and it just says all trees are currently on the, slated for removal. So you don't have a list of the trees and sizes,
I don't, but I could get that for you,
is that?
if that's something that you guys.
There's not gonna be any mitigation possible, I assume, on the site.
Very little.
You have no place else to put the trees, you can't put them back on top of the septic system, obviously, so. Looks like septic system is taking up almost the entirety of the backyard that's being created. And up into a hillside that you're saying is river, stone river. So probably can't plant on the side of a stony slope.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know what we're kind of losing there.
Yeah, it's a small lot, I don't think it's a big ask, if you guys want that, it's up to you, commission.
I would agree with that too.
We've been starting to ask for that kind of range, just to know the overall impact, it's not a,
Not sure.
No, it's part of, it's in our bylaws.
yeah, no, it's not violence, but it's, I think the reasoning that we're getting, asking us more is the board, as commission has the right to do. Is wants to know about the other impacts of the, you know, taking a bunch of trees out and just saying it's a bunch of trees is not as good as saying, well, this is the types of trees, so. It's a valid point, Nicole's request, I think, is one we'd like to see on. Any other information we'd like to have got Hannah?
The only other thing was there was a couple DEP comments that I don't know if you had saw and responded to that. Okay, yeah, because they have a DEP number already and everything. But so I just pulled up the comments that they had regarding providing methods of resource area delineation.
Can't hear you. Yeah, we really can't hear you when we are concerned.
Sorry.
Sorry. So it's the DEP comments, when they issue a file number, they issue some technical comments as well. So those technical comments, and that's actually in a portal that you guys can access if you know the NOI number. So you can always access those comments too. But so the comments provided from DEP were that the applicant should provide the methods of resource area delineation. Massachusetts Handbook for Delineation of Bordering Vegetative Wetlands recommends the use of the Bordering Vegetative Wetland Determination Form to document the presence and or absence of wetlands and delineate wetland boundaries. Additional information should be provided to both DEP and the commission. Erosion controls are proposed on a property not owned by the applicant / property owner. The applicant should obtain permission from the property owner to install the erosion controls and provide that documentation to the commission. Erosion controls should be proposed at the proposed location as well. So those were the DEP comments.
Where, can you show us where the erosion controls are proposed on a property that wasn't owned by the applicant?
Okay, I mean, this is, as far as I know, this is owned by the town over here. This is on the opposite side of, so, and the reason why the erosion controls are proposed here is because there's a road, you know? So it's like, it's kind of hard to be working on this particular piece of property and have the erosion controls going here, because you're gonna be squishing the erosion controls and moving them around all the time. So it's like, I'm proposing it on the opposite side of the pavement because that's where the protection needs to.
And have you got permission from the town?
I didn't realize I needed to get permission from the town.
Well, I think it probably would be prudent if you're putting something alongside the road there and you're doing work on the other side where it may not be clear, but the DEP, why suddenly.
Okay, so
Not DEP, the DPW.
who do I approach to get said permission? I mean, we're asking permission right now.
How did it state in the?
Do we go on?
I
It's held in
believe-
conservation.
Yeah. I
Held in
think it's held in
conservation.
Conservation,
Oh,
so
it is,
they would
okay.
just need.
Can we please
approval
put the
for-
erosion control as they're proposed on the plan?
You may want to fill out that form, DEP seems to think you should.
I don't think there's a specific.
There's not a
form,
specific-
It's just written permission.
No, the form that I referred to before the
Oh.
permission.
That's the delineation forms. I can, if you guys really want me to fill out the delineation forms, not a problem.
Well, DEP seems to like that idea, and we like to keep DEP happy. You would too, probably, if you try to, anyway, you never want to get them to not respond. And you really need them to down the
They
road.
already don't respond.
Well,
You know?
don't make it any worse for them.
There's an existing right of way on not, well, actually, it looks like they own the parcel next to it too. There's two existing right of ways. What are those right of ways for? If you know.
Don't know.
Okay. I don't know if it was a drainage easement or something.
No, it's not drainage.
You think some water.
It might have been for the lots that were originally up in this area. That's the only thing that I can think of, that
Potential,
why they would be there.
potential access easement.
Right.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the delineation of the wetlands. Just based on those pictures, it looks like what I saw as identified as wetlands, and actually there was water behind it by the road. So I'm curious as to how far is it
When
really?
you go and you look at this thing, you're gonna, it's, you're like, that's the wetland. It's literally, it's like right on the edge of the pond. There are some, when you look at an aerial photograph, that is a kind of a swampy area.
Yeah,
So the water is not real deep in that area, but like, it's there.
yeah, but it's
Yeah,
there. You can see it.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
And that 100 or 90-foot line is from that edge.
It's
of that-
actually not from the edge of the pond even, it's up a little bit off
Yeah.
of the pond.
Closer to where the road
Yeah,
is.
from what I remember, it's mostly sweet pepper bush or
Yeah, I
right,
know.
right there. So it's, you know, I mean, can I put that on a piece of paper and give it to you, please?
Yeah.
It's a little sweet pepper bush.
House.
Right, right.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
thoughts that are going through my mind, especially when you got a site so steep and the leach field is in the back, what about bleed out the bottom of the leach field into lower elevations?
I
But
can answer
the
this.
schedule, I think I have, so let me present it and see if I read your drawings correctly. The bottom of the stone of the leach field, based on the schedule of elevations, is 220. And it's showing a 5-foot delta from it to the groundwater offset, which happens to be the elevation of the Silver Lake. So you're saying there's 5 feet of freeboard from the bottom of the leach to the
So it's
and the rest of the site all runs about a foot or 2, 3 higher than the bottom of the leach field, so I don't see it blowing out through the side, running down the yard.
It's not going to based on the breakout, but if it would please the commission, we could put a 40 mil polyethylene barrier around the bottom edge of that. That would go 5 feet below the system as well. That would absolutely mitigate any bleed out that might occur. It's been my experience in designing these things for 25 years that the sewage generally will flow down. It
Well, I
doesn't
understand.
bleed out
Well,
laterally.
except when you see these systems fail, it comes up.
It can, correct.
And at some point, this has a natural life limit.
Mhm.
And we can't set it up to just dump into the lake after that.
I agree. So if it would please the commission, I can make a revision on the plan and show a 40 mil polyethylene barrier going around the bottom edge of that. And that would mitigate any potential breakout.
Certainly.
Well,
Who's that question got in here?
Asked if it would impact the infiltration at all.
it would not because of it's like, as I was stating, if you're on the beach and you take water, you dump it on the beach, it bleeds out laterally a little bit, but mostly it goes down. So with that 40 mil polyethylene barrier, it's
On the sides.
it's on the side,
Yeah, ring
5
barrier,
feet,
not
it's
the bottom.
5 feet off of the edge of that.
Just to make it clear, it wasn't stated explicitly that we weren't doing the bottom.
Right,
Now-
no, it's just, it's basically a pool liner that would go around the outside.
The commission feel that's reasonable request?
It certainly will help, what I was getting at is the elevation changes from the bottom of the leach field to the remaining it isn't so gradual, so it would just run out. Is that, am I reading it right?
So, they have a question for you, so.
I'm sorry, what's?
Steve wants to know if you're
Yeah,
reading that right.
I'm good.
No, you're reading it correctly. Yeah.
Additional questions?
Speaking of these elevations, it looks like something that would require like a retaining wall, you think?
Seth, retaining wall or anything on the backside of? the
Right
upper
now,
house?
we're just proposing it to be a 1.5 to 1 slope.
How high? I mean, how, yeah, basically, so the top of the septic system and the rises of the hillside, I mean, how back end, where you start going vertical?
I usually build a boulder wall in the back,
So
got a lot of boulder walls.
this
Boulder
is
walls.
the guy that would be doing the work,
I
so.
do a lot of.
So is it gonna be like a 3-foot wall, 4-foot wall, you
It
think
could
to
end up
hold the
being-
soil? I don't know how high
It
the
could
hill
end
goes.
up being like 3.5 feet, go in a little bit, step up another one, so that it's not anything dangerous.
A little terracing, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And I would also like to note that that's outside of the 100-foot buffer zone.
Right, I just like, no, not make sure that it falls down inside the 100-foot if the
I
hillside
understand.
goes, okay. All right, that's good to know, there's a plan in place, that's good. Additional questions? Pam, anything?
No additional questions.
Okay,
Audience.
yes, sir, go ahead.
Can we put the plan back up or let us
You
look?
have a
at this?
question for it? Sure,
We do have a question. It has to
Sure.
respond to the actual plan. We can see it.
sure, 1 second, we'll get it up for you.
Thank you. So what, if we may, what is the difference in elevation between finished floor and the street, just ballpark?
Say, street here is at 219 and the finished floor of the garage is at
20.
120.
Oh, so you're, okay, so you're not way up there.
Nope.
And the driveway is here.
Well, this is the edge of the road here.
Mhm.
For a driveway.
Okay.
It's gonna be a driveway.
It's gonna be just a.
Okay, so I do have a question for the applicant
ahead.
and something the board may wish to consider, leave that to your judgment. Along that street, as has been mentioned, there's extremely steep slopes. It looks like they're gonna change the slopes here a bit, but if you look at existing driveways that go up the street, we walk there every day. Paved driveways after every rainstorm. There's a big pile of sand and gravel that washes down these, and it washes right down to the lake. You got a lot of silt coming in. That's a permanent, long-term condition. Every storm, you've got piles of junk along the road. So it's hard for me to evaluate the slopes here. I guess the question would be, is the engineering by the applicant going to consider the volume and velocity of runoff coming off of his property to the street and hence to the pond? And what needs to be done to mitigate?
Over paved
possible impact?
surfaces, sir, or are you talking about the overall lawn / pave, even though it's minimal in the front?
Both hardscapes and greenscapes.
Mhm.
Because you're clear cutting. You're clear cutting 6,000 square feet here that was formerly trees, so you're
Right.
increasing.
Sure,
volume of water.
that's a reason.
That was part of my concern.
Mr. Chair, if I could expand on his point, the driveway, well, the garage is at 220, the lake's at 215. Salt would be a concern, especially during the rain. That may be an order of condition.
Is that a no salt zone or?
It's not presently. Yeah, it probably should be.
But that's something that.
I mean,
live
that-
in an order of conditions.
Are you gonna solve that? Even, I mean, it's a 20-foot driveway, it's like you shovel that, you don't.
Well, so the question was asked by the abutter there that, or neighbor that, is there any engineering design or, not mitigation, allowance for calculations for what what anticipated runoff might be and any
No,
way to.
it wasn't, it's not required for this application.
That'd be a no, okay, sir?
If I may, to follow up on that very briefly, given that, I think it'd be hard to argue that runoff did not go directly into Silver Lake, given the slopes. If you accept the premise that runoff and groundwater flow to Silver Lake, then the question for the board is, what engineering does the board require to demonstrate that you're not negatively impacting the water quality at Silver Lake?
Is there curbing on that side of the street?
No.
And no storm drain in that immediate area?
No.
No, I would say that's the reason.
No production whatsoever up there.
Everything runs off the hill and dumps directly in, and there really is quite significant amounts of silt and road salt from salting the road that just dumps into the lake. By the way, directly opposite that, those wetlands happens to be, beaver habitat and muskrat habitat. We happen to know where the muskrat holes are there. We've also had river otters in this lake, which is very unusual.
If
30
it's the
years ago,
salt
they
that's
got here.
that's concerning, that's a town, that's a town thing.
He's
That's
pointing out
not-
the runoff will be added because you're taking out 6,000 square feet of trees. That was not permitting the same kind of flow, which is a reasonable observation, I think. Not that the town salt on the road is the issue versus some salt in his driveway, for
Right.
example. I don't think that's.
Put there, so his car doesn't slide out of the driveway
Well,
into the Silver Lake.
Right.
But
Okay. So,
One other question.
yes, yeah.
I know you're not zoning, but I thought
No.
there's no house there now, there was a little trailer. But what about, size of the lot? I thought it's 2 acre minimum zoning, which
Yeah.
I believe that's not 2 acre.
Yeah, this is not that one, he has to get a variance.
So that's absolutely nothing to do with us, but it is a valid question. If you haven't, you would probably want directed to the zoning, commission.
He has an answer.
And plan, and there was, hold on one second, who's gonna answer that? Suther, sir.
What's that? I've sat down with the building inspector and he's the one who told me that these are the zoning offsets that are required for this lot.
Lot is appropriate size, doesn't have to be 2 acre.
No, that pre-existing.
Pre-existing. Let's go ahead, Ariane.
I would like to see the flood zone depicted in the plan. In zone X.
Okay, I can scale it on, but I don't think there's a elevation that's associated with it.
There's no outlet, you can just use the feet.
Okay, it's another request for information on the trees. Any other points? One second, I'll get to you, man, just, I'm forgetting. Anything else, I want to make sure we capture everything for Hannah's notes that she's gonna make sure we're gonna be getting this information. So we've got the trees from Nicole's request, we've got say Aaron, the CTS.
Flood zone.
Flood zone, thank you. Flood zone overlay. There was, I thought, a third thing that somebody had asked for.
No, but I'm
You said something about wet water and seeing water on the side and.
runoff.
Just to get the delineation.
Yeah, I want to know the delineation. I want to see where, yeah, just to confirm.
Okay, so we did have 3 things.
And I did request a couple of field changes, so if you wanna like go take a look and see where the new flags are.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, certainly if anyone wants to
It's
drive
just on
down.
the side of it.
Yeah, just because everything's so close, it's so small, is.
But then you can kind of get a better idea
Yeah.
of like the scale of where everything is.
It's a reasonable request. All right, before I jump back into the audience here for a second, anything else on the commission that we didn't capture? Because I want to make sure we're capturing, we're making points as we go along. I don't want to leave one of them off and have it, have to come back later. Ma'am, go ahead,
Hi, Yellow Lakeview Ave.
welcome.
I know for a fact that there were lady slippers in there. And that's part of conservation. I think some lady slippers are extinct.
What
Well,
color
not
were they?
extinct, but- Sorry,
What color were they?
pink.
Pink lady slippers are not an endangered species.
There's one
There are a couple
particular,
varieties,
yeah.
but-
Well, I'm not sure exactly what color, okay, but I know they're not the white ones, and those are definitely extinct. But I've seen a number of them now.
Are you saying you've seen white ones which are extinct there?
Well, she
I
means
said,
red.
I've not seen white, and I'm not sure the color of these, if they're pink or red,
Okay, gotcha.
or whatever.
Yeah, it's also, it's not just the color, it's the shape. You can tell if you look at them.
That I didn't know.
Oh, you are a pro at that. Man,
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah,
What's that?
yeah, see?
Okay, sir, yes.
Dave Nichols, Blackmont Street, and just around the corner from
Yes,
there. I walk there a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
Every property up there, it's so steep you can barely walk up the hill. If you were to try, I mean, I don't go on other people's property, but it's visually that steep.
Yeah.
Every property, whether it's beside the driveway or not, the dirt just washes down when you're walking, as you get along each property. You gotta walk through mud, dirt, gravel, because it's just washing down the hill, it's so steep.
Yeah. And I have to wonder, it does, I've walked it too, and it builds up, I mean, you'll see over an inch of sand sometimes after a rainstorm.
Yeah,
There.
it's a problem walking at times.
Isn't there like a former gravel site that's just north of this?
Yeah.
Most of
I would
it's
suppose
a
it's
phone.
old, so it's- yeah, but that concern of it constantly washing into the.
It's overland flow from a different parcel.
Well, yeah, you can actually see where it's coming from. Right. And they're walking, it's.
Yeah, it's just too bad there isn't a better solution, and
I know.
I've seen that one road for years and decades, it's been happening around the lake there, I'm sure. Whether there's. I don't know.
Yeah,
some sort
I
of
don't know.
Diverters
Stop
or
it, right?
some sort of retention, something to catch the sediment, but then everybody's gotta do it, if somebody doesn't do it, then.
In all actuality, that's where the septic system is, it's gonna be flattened, which is actually gonna slow the water down before it's. Before it goes down.
I'm not sure, is that right-hand side tree line gonna stay, I mean, is that treed in that site?
It's all treed right now.
Yeah, right, well, no, the site that's gonna be cleared is treed, but as. The site is-
There's a cart road that goes up the property lines on that right-hand piece.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, so there is some, even as the flow comes down the hillside from mud or whatever, and comes washing across the roads there and so forth. It's gonna go around the house somewhat, but there's not a lot of cleared property on either side of the house, not that there doesn't need to be much, if we have narrow band.
15 feet probably.
Yeah, but there will be some around, the house will help block some of it, but, and as you said, it's flattened behind there, which may help some.
Right, it's gonna dissipate some of that.
Some of it, I mean, can do so much, I think. Question, is there anything else commission wise that they think that they wanna see?
I think if we could communicate with the upstream property owner, which just happens to be Wall Street Development Co. That since during every storm, there's a sedimentation event, obviously coming off of that large parcel of open sand. If we can request them / require them, because there's a sedimentation event, to install mitigation for that.
Possibility.
How
Sir,
does that pertain to
yeah.
this particular
It does.
application?
No,
Okay,
I didn't want.
I'm just
I
wondering.
didn't want to forget about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to stay,
Concerns were about.
I got you.
I want to stay focused on this particular project. Sir, do you have a question about this particular
I
project?
do have a question. So the property itself, there's cot roads.
Yeah, on either side, sounds like.
Okay, that's, if anything's coming down is through those cot roads. This property is not on those cot roads. This cop, if you look at the property, it's basically the front of it's flat with grass. So when it rains, nothing is coming into the road,
Not from this problem.
not from this property.
No,
But from the cot roads that are not part of the
right,
property.
I think the point is that once the property is cleared, that changes.
But it's not just gonna be gravel.
We're not saying it is, it's just things will change, then you.
Oh, be
might-
grass.
the area of grass.
There'll be grass. So nothing's coming now, and even if you take the trees out, there's a house and grass, you're not gonna have boulders coming down or little rocks coming down.
Yeah.
Possibly on the cot roads, you might still, if there is some from the cot roads. I just don't wanna give the impression that this property is, when it rains, a lot of stuff is, materials coming down, it's not true.
Not currently, nobody's saying that, I think they're saying that they're concerned about after work is done, you've got a house, yes, so now I'll pull stuff back, you got a flat yard. But there is areas around the house that some stuff, and the cart paths could continue to contribute, so I can add to it. Sir, do you, or ma'am, one of you raise your hand?
I have, actually, I have some pictures of lady slippers on that property.
Okay, I'm not,
I'm sorry?
Are they yellow?
No, they're pinks.
Maybe that could be something that they just send and.
yeah, if you could send that to, if you could just send that to Hannah, that would actually be more helpful at this moment, because that really won't impact, I think, what we're talking about right now for the, here's, but it's
And
out for the
this
record.
isn't in natural heritage.
Yeah.
This isn't a natural heritage.
That's fine, she's,
But we're concerned too, sir. You know, that's the only reason we're questioning.
okay, so yeah, ma'am, if you could send those to Hannah, that'd be great, if you don't
I'll
have.
do
her
it right
email.
now, because I need my daughter to help me.
That's fine, get all the help you need, if you have an issue, call Hannah, she'll walk you through it, I'm sure.
Okay.
I just want you to do that. Okay, continue with this, anything else, commission members? Nicole, anything? Yeah, okay, all right, so. We have,
Mr. Chair, one last comment. I'm looking at Google Maps, you can see the erosion.
Yeah.
You see gravel in the road.
in
Going
that
out
area
the
you're
car
talking about,
path,
what area are you talking about along the road there? That
right in front of 107, or to the right, to the east or south of 107.
Two right of ways on the side.
Park house, right, yeah, no, I think that anything that's been cleared before, we'll probably continue to let stuff come right down those hillsides. Until somebody does something about it, whether it's a retaining thing or whatever, I'm not sure. Okay, that's point made. All right, we have 3 pieces of information. You're clear on what they are. Seth will get those. Seth, when do you think you would have that information prepared for us to be able to make sure it's all in order and then we can make a continuation until that time?
Why don't we continue it to your next meeting and I'll make sure that I have the information to you prior to that.
The 10th of September is our next meeting.
10th of September.
So I'll accept the motion to continue this hearing. The link you have 65-17 lot, for notice of intent to the evening of September 10th at 7 p.m. So, James, second, Nicole. Yeah, discussion. Pam,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Nicole,
Aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
James,
Right.
Steve. All right, Mike, aye. Okay, you know, so, thank you, Seth.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time
you.
this evening.
Thank you.
So that's this, we got Iris for the 24th as well as Monique, right?
Yeah, yeah. 8:30 to 9:30.
No, it's the 24th as in the evening.
Oh.
Not the wire, I know that, thank you. All right. All right, thank you, those of you who have been here for, the Lakeview Avenue one, we're done with that now, but just letting you know, so you know, think we're continuing to talk about, we know that, thank you for coming, if you want to continue to hang out, please do. Next order of business is gonna be Prospect Hill deliberation and decisions. We have to, so we're gonna explain a couple of things here to make sure we're all on the same page.
Is this an open meeting?
Yes, it's still open meeting. Yes, we are deliberating. I will make a couple of statements to make sure people in the audience and the commission members are clear on what is.
I believe the audience may be separating our open meeting from open hearing.
Right,
Oh.
that's one thing I'm gonna make sure we're done. So we are going to, let me get my note here, because I wrote something down to make sure I wouldn't misspeak if possible. That's what.
I guess if we have any questions, we're hoping that we'll be able to ask them.
No, we will not be, that was the first thing I'm gonna be saying is that as part of our continuing our open meeting, which we've been in since 7 o'clock, we are now going to be pursuing a deliberation and decision about a project which was closed, a hearing which was closed at the last meeting, last commission meeting 2 weeks ago. So because that commission meeting, the hearing for that project was closed, we cannot take any new comments, we cannot take any new information. We can only deliberate, this is by law, we can only deliberate and issue a decision. And we have to do that tonight because we have to meet at the timetable. So you're welcome to listen. Make notes, whatever you want to do, but we won't entertain questions. We can't expand upon things. The commission members will be debating and discussing amongst ourselves in public here. So you can listen, you can participate by listening, observe it. But that's what we need to do. And we do need to,
Can we ask a question on point of procedure? It's not about the deliberation.
very limited question if you just need.
Very limited question is, was the public notified in some form or another that further deliberations with public participation were closed?
Well, I don't.
Prior to this.
Hannah will answer that question.
So at the end of the last public hearing, at the close, we did let the public know, we let everybody know that it would be continued for the discussion and decision at the next public meeting. So
Was it stated
this date, and then it was advertised on the agenda for today, so that was posted, and that legally has to go up 48 hours before a meeting happens.
I guess we're taken by surprise. We were expecting to have some input, not argument, simply to present what we believe are some legal reasons that might affect your decision one way or another. And
I hear you.
We've lost that opportunity and we were not notified.
Yeah, I don't
That-
think there's a
that-
requirement that we notify the public that, and I'm not sure of this, so I'd have to check with town council. That we are required to notify the public that that they can no longer participate in asking questions, as you said, or bringing up points and so forth, that closing the hearing means this. I think that that's the expectation, right or wrong, is probably going to be stated by the town council and maybe not, that. That's incumbent upon anybody in the general public knowing or looking up or finding out what they can and can't do about that once the hearing closes. And it's not, has to be stated every time, okay, we're closing it, then
That's
we
what a
can't discuss it.
closed hearing means.
Right, but what I'm saying is,
They could have given you information in advance, it was, you could have incorporated it in it.
Only if it was prior to the meeting being closed.
Yeah, we really can't hear you, you're
Right.
very soft spoken.
yeah, she is, very innocent. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so what Erin is saying is, it would have been possible perhaps if we had told people prior to the closing of the last meeting's hearing that no more comments would be made. But it wouldn't have affected things because you would have, at that point in time, we would have closed the hearing anyway, as we had to, because the applicant did not want to continue it. So we had no choice, but we had to close it. And when we closed it, that ends it. Whether you knew that or not, that's regrettable that you didn't know that you could vote it, but my point to you now is that thinking about this, you probably wouldn't have affected your ability to provide any additional input, because at that moment, when it was closed, that's it. We couldn't accept any information. The applicant can't tell us anything else. Only the commission can now deliberate and debate, and we have to issue a decision to be within the 21 days in order for it to be written up and formally sent out to the applicant in the legal time. Otherwise, then things fall between the cracks, and you do not want that to
That's the
happen.
procedure.
Yeah, sorry.
So the applicant is the one who requested
He
the
Yes.
closure,
He
not-
was, he has the right to, he has to agree to continue for hearings, from hearing to hearing, to agree to continue, and most applicants do, because as you've seen tonight, we've extended things beyond, because they want to get information together and so forth, whether it's for a small property or a bigger project. But in this case, this applicant declined to continue any more hearings,
I see.
wanted us to close it, stated that for the record.
We actually challenged that,
Well, we questioned it. and
or questioned it, that's not.
Yeah, we don't.
Questioned it.
Thank you. That's a very important
And,
point.
okay, so the applicant knows that, and so now we are going to enter a period where we're gonna briefly, hopefully, discuss this,
Thank you.
and Hannah's gonna, sure, you're welcome. I'll try to remember to keep speaking up and, encourage the members to, too, as we debate here. Okay, so Hannah has provided, well, I don't have anything in front of me, so I can't. I, 6 copies, right, which,
And I believe
oh, that's
No,
the
something was
organization.
gonna be emailed to us, right?
Yep, it's
It
everything.
was.
Oh, that was- I did have,
Yep,
okay, sorry.
yeah.
That's
So
in my-
we just
sorry.
want to
Yeah.
kind of give a little brief
Right.
to the commissioners about what we're looking at.
Okay, so we have a couple of options which have been drafted up based on the information we've been getting over the past couple of years. In consultation with our town council very recently. Not provided to us prior to the meeting right now, so we have not seen this information prior to this, so we haven't preformed notions about what some of these options could be.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, that was not provided to us at the direction of town council to maintain the legality of the process, not because someone was late and didn't get it done.
Right, right. No, this is a deliberate decision by and advice by town council to not potentially jeopardize any decision legally down the road by having someone be able to say, well, you had pre-drafted things that you reviewed, you decided things outside of the open hearing process. That's not the case here. We're seeing this information right now for the first time. And it's part of, it's not the decision, it's part of the decision-making process. It's more information and some options to consider along with whatever the commission wants to do. I mean, the commission has the right to disregard all this stuff and come up with something totally different. That's one of the things we're trying to get to. But it is based on the hearing process that we've been going through for repeated meetings for quite a while. Yeah,
What's the difference between the one under the bylaw versus under the WPA?
That was my question too.
Yeah, so there's a couple different regulatory things that they, you know, you either may need more information to condition, or you may need to condition something to get more information for it, or like there's two different like
What I'm asking
standards.
is like, are they, why can't they be both?
So you can deny under both, but we have to parse out by this is a denial under the Wetlands Protection Act regulations, and this is all of those citations, and this is why, and then this is a denial under the bylaw, and these are the citations, and this is why, because they're not like fully mirrored.
Right, but you can also approve with conditions under each of those conditions too.
so basically.
So it's approve or denial.
Approve or denial with the bylaw and the WPA, both, and DP, and both in being referred to, and.
So 21 days is next week.
Yes, so Hannah has to, and you say it, you're safe by that one.
Yep, so by, I mean, it needs to go out by the morning of September 3rd. It needs to
With
be
the holiday Monday,
for the 21 days.
which means we're gonna sign something tonight, which ideally, we come to a decision and decide something and sign something tonight, hard copy, which can be then, how did you phrase it? Tweet.
Well, just, I have a hard copy of everything, so if there's tweaks you wanna make, I will make all of those tweaks, and then, I will, you know, fully compile everything that you have decided at this meeting.
And
So
the hard copy signed tonight can act as the little document, we don't have to wait for DocuSign and take a chance on missing something, because if we miss the Tuesday deadline, we're up the creek, we're done with that, okay. So, yeah,
We'll say a lot of pages off, two.
Have what?
Yes. It says like
Two what?
page 62.
Oh, really?
Sorry, Ariane, can you repeat that?
They can hear.
No, page number count is stuck at 2 for everything.
So it looks like some sort of typo. With some of these, it'll say page 6 of 2. So the page Asian.
Just
If that's the right
like on the
word.
bottom?
Oh, yes, on the bottom.
Copies, it's
Wait,
all,
maybe it's Google Documents being messed up thing?
yeah, because the printed ones
Yeah,
show like
the printed ones are fine.
713,
The printed ones are fine.
whatever,
Yeah, not on
something of-
Google.
I don't know.
Okay, the printed ones are fine.
Yeah,
Not
the
on
printed
email.
ones are,
Okay.
Yep.
Never
So
mind.
pages are right, Pam, just for your record, on the printed
Okay.
copy, if you don't have a copy up in your hand, because you're online.
On some of them they are, the number.
Okay. Another thing for the information for the commission is that not everybody can vote on this. Because
Mhm.
not everybody has been through enough of the meetings and hearings over the last 2 years. So the people that can vote are Steve, myself, Don, and Ariane.
And James.
and James. If I can, James can.
Oh, that's James Simpson?
Yep.
Okay, so,
really
so
say it was-
Nicole.
Yeah, well, but you know.
Nicole, Pam, feel free to ask questions, participate in fully as you wish to, but when we get to the actual voting, you know.
No, my neighbors are abutters and I disclose that legally.
But you're not, okay.
Yes, but I am not. No.
Okay, so, now I think I've covered just about, except getting your thoughts on how you want to proceed. What we want to do to move this along and get some sort of decision made tonight. Not having done this, with this scope of a project in this
Yeah.
kind of manner, it's a little bit of new ground for everybody here, including myself.
So I can start. I feel like there was not sufficient attempts to meet the performance standards and comply with both the local bylaw and the Wetlands Protection Act. And I would prefer that another project someday down the road that can actually feasibly be constructed at the site while meeting the performance standards and the appropriate mitigation where needed can be proposed. I'd love to hear that someday.
Yeah, in the same vein of that, I think there are obviously scenarios where projects can't necessarily meet performance standards, and I believe the applicant and their representatives did not make a forthright effort to maybe even explain a reason for why they could not meet performance standards. It was more met with arguments about explaining things to us, so I agree with the sentiment.
Yeah,
I know I
honestly-
can't.
Well,
Oh, go ahead, Don. Oh,
No, no, no. No,
I was
you're
just
more
gonna say, I
clear.
know I can't cast a vote, but I agree with that. I think it's entirely reasonable to deny under WPA and our bylaws based on the lack of complying with the standards.
And to add to that, I agree, in some cases, just refusing to do simple things that are outlined in our bylaws, which are totally feasible and are required by our bylaw.
And refusing to provide funding for peer review, and we said that, we were essentially handicapped or with so many new members and a loss of 80+ years of experience, and we couldn't adequately review the said project. And there was no effort to fund peer review or provide peer review.
There was some, but not
Minimal.
continuing to after we've had some additional costs. And, okay, so we have under the merits, denial under the merits, but also denial under the lack of information that is, sounds like we're hearing consensus so far. Go ahead.
I think, just in terms of I'm not sure, like, if there was an instance that I could specifically point to where you requested specific funding and the applicant didn't fund it. So the last instance was we required additional funding for the habitat assessment, and they did provide that funding. So just in terms of like anything for reference. for
Right.
that, I'm not
Didn't-
sure if I could.
Well, isn't the whole part where he basically took the peer review and made them his peer review instead of our peer review? Isn't that part of it?
But there wasn't like a
He gave them like
specific
requirements.
Yeah, but saying refusal of funding, we want to be careful. I think Hannah's right. We want to not put in the record that we're
Right.
doing it denial based on refusal of funding unless you actually know of a case where he said
Honestly, it might be his last project and things now.
it might then. Might
And,
then.
and the peer
That
review
was-
did get done in the end.
Right.
For this project, yeah.
Well, it got done to the point where he said he didn't want to do additional, which was Paul was going to come back with some additional information.
Yeah, so that was just, but that wasn't related to peer review. So
Right.
just- Yeah.
So if we're denying on the basis of non-performance against the Protection Act, can we identify them by line item?
That's
what
in
Hannah's done.
And, yep,
Which document is that? Hannah?
denial draft.
yeah, it's this,
The denial
Yeah,
draft?
findings and
So-
special
Right,
conditions
both.
for BWP 349, and then findings and special conditions, which I should probably take out special conditions, because if it's a denial, there's not special conditions, so
Hannah,
that's my
Hannah.
bad. But-
Which, can you say that again, please?
Louder, so
Louder,
here.
slower.
Findings and special conditions for BWP 349, and I believe the document is called,
Take me to the page number, please.
OOC denial findings under the WPA.
yes, and same thing, but OOC denial findings under bylaw regulations. So those are the two findings documents that I drafted based on the hearings that we had.
But in both cases, take out special conditions.
Correct, yes, I will strike those from.
Commission order of conditions attachment findings.
Commission.
Period, no, but, and.
this is, yeah.
There is, waiting.
This is the denial, but.
There's an attachment.
I think I'm last.
Is the attachment in the Word document too?
If you have.
Like where you have your statement of,
Oh, denial findings. It's
Yes.
this one here.
Yeah, so they all of the approvals, denial drafts, they all start with a procedural history and then documents, findings of fact and decision.
Okay, this was. We gotta be able to defend what our position.
It seems like the defenses are quite well, I mean, obviously written by a lawyer, but quite well written out, and I find them really embodying the reasons why I thought it was not meeting standards when looking through it.
Yeah, I
You're
agree.
basing that on something previous or what you received at the beginning
What
of the
we've,
night?
what I received at the beginning of the meeting this evening.
On what we have for the WPA problems, we're also an issue on, I think, multiple rounds of peer review comment letters.
Yes.
So they're pre-existing problems than what we had noted today.
Yeah, this is based, I mean, it's a summation of what we've been seeing all along. You know, the back and forth. I feel like these documents really well sum that up.
And multiple requests for just about everything that I could see.
Yeah.
I like the finding, the applicant has not provided a preponderance of the credible evidence to overcome the presumptions of 310 CMI 10.583. It is not showing that the riverfront area on the site is not within the inspection of one amount and thus presented by MDL to 131 section 40.
They're trying really hard to listen.
I'm sorry,
I'm gonna bring a karaoke machine here with the microphone, so you guys can speak into them, hey?
The microphone's up there, but maybe I can bring like a megaphone.
I was gonna say, a megaphone would probably be more effective in this room for REM in particular, but yeah,
Trying not to comment, we're just trying to listen.
sure, no, that's fine, we appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something where you guys want to go kind of point by point, just to make sure that
I think we should.
that's, you would like to leave that in, you would like to change it, you'd like to take it out.
Do we need to? The defenses for the denial you put together, correct, based on previous meetings and that, because I think we have a consensus here.
Well, yeah, but we still have to make sure the stuff in the document that we're picking are documents that we're combining.
Well, let's put it this way, you're signing it tonight, so what do you want to put behind your statement and your signature? I see your point, Steve, and Hannah has done a lot of work with the.
Based on that, Mike, well, I wouldn't be signing it tonight.
Right.
We've had it.
Right, no, I know, no, but I'm saying.
I thought I should have ignored everything else we did and
No,
focused on this.
No, I'm saying at this point in time in the meeting, if we want to do that, go through point by point, then that gives you the option to be able to say that I've done that point by point. That's a decision the commission can make. I agree that Hannah has done a lot of work with the.
Fair enough. So my suggestion is this, like the first document on it lists the plans and documents and listing. I assume you collected that appropriately. I trust that. My focus would be on the defense of a denial and did we interpret the denied, our negative opinions accurately? Or did the drawings and the peer review in fact answer them? In which case we would be rejected. And does the document you drafted define and or explain our denial position?
Well, I know for a fact, it's helping. It sounds louder.
So
I know for a fact that we didn't get all the peer review answers because we still had outstanding questions in our last meeting.
So on this document, Hannah, why don't you take us to denial item number 1 and let's walk through them.
Can we run through them?
Just go through like the where you have it bolded,
Yeah.
Yes.
our denial decision, those
Yeah,
4
so
or 5 things.
Do we want to start with DEP or bylaw?
Do just
Do DEP first?
So it's form number 5, right? Or are you looking at this one?
Yeah, so there's a approval wetlands form 5 and a denial wetland form
Which one are
5.
you looking at first?
But we're looking at the
Denial.
findings and special conditions,
Yeah,
DEP number.
Got it, yep, got it.
Okay, what page are we starting on there? 3?
And we could start on, yeah, we
Statement
can
of
start
facts?
on 3 for statements of facts. So the first point just kind of goes over,
We want to read them and just,
I don't even think we need to go over the statement of facts.
well, it's just the statement of
Yeah.
facts kind of lines it up for why the denial. So those are kind of the primary thing.
I feel like I already know all that stuff though, which I should, because like, that's here.
Right, yeah, just,
Did anyone here miss that, like, it has 3 wetland crossings? Maybe Nicole did, because she's the most recent member, and literally was like 1 meeting before. Like,
yeah, so I guess for the statements of facts here, I just kind of went over that like what their most recent amended NOI form had. This was based on the BSC comments requesting additional information for quantifying impacts to land under water bodies and bank. And I list what those impacts were noted as, and that there may have been differences that were noted between the amended notice of intent and the supplemental information that was provided as part of a filing after when we requested additional information.
In statement of fact number 2, you present, information conflict, 80 feet versus 35.
Correct. And they also, BSC had identified that it did not appear as though any of the temporary impacts that were proposed as part of impacts to Oak Brook for the sewer crossing, as well as impacts to land under water bodies for the Peters River crossing, for that sewer portion of the sewer crossing, that those temporary impacts weren't quantified and included on the notice of intent, amended notice of intent form, which is something which was requested of the applicant. So that potential point of denial would be based on lack of additional information. So rather than based on merit, it'd be lack of information.
Which one is this? 3 or 4?
Just that whole section.
So there's like another six
Is like
facts in the
a
next.
summary reason for why we're.
Right, the
everything
application
Yeah.
is denied without
It's like-
prejudice because the commission
Yeah,
finds that the
right.
information
It's the
stated by the
same-
applicant is
so
not
it's totally
sufficient
hard, but then it kind of gets into.
to describe the work, the site, or the effort of the work on the interests identified in the Wetlands Protection Act, and then spells it out. So that's a clear summary description of denied without prejudice. For lack of, for insufficient information.
So Hannah, you've got statement of facts on page 3, then you go to a summary. Then you got statement of facts. What's the difference?
Yep,
The
so,
second one says riverfront area.
right, so
There's
the,
no title on the first one.
the first one title is filing requirements, so that's
Okay.
just based on not including
CMR 310.
information.
I was looking for a location.
So that was kind of that
So
point
we're-
based on lack of potential information that would have been on the NOI form.
So maybe, and if this is too much of a haul, maybe we can forget it, because I don't think it's a huge deal, but maybe it would make sense to stay at the beginning of this, we deny it for the following reasons, and then call it like number 1, and then have the statement of facts, and then the denial, and then number 2 is the next statement of facts.
I kind of think you're doing that with applicable interest, riverfront area is the second one after the general statement of facts and the denial reason. Then you're doing statement of facts all related to the riverfront area with a summary, then you're going to.
Yeah, but
applicable-
some
And it
people-
does above when we, because we kind of started out with that
Yeah.
section, right above that, it says pursuant to WPA Form 5, Order of Conditions, Section B, and for the reasons set forth during the commission's review, discussion, deliberations at the hearings listed above, and for the reasons set forth below, the commission finds that the work as currently proposed cannot be conditioned to meet the performance standards set forth in the wetlands regulations. And then same thing, but like the same first part of that, but the commission finds that the information submitted by the applicant is not sufficient to describe the site, the work, or the effect of the work on the interests identified in the Wetlands Protection Act. And then goes on to say, as such, the commission denies without prejudice under the WPA and WPA regulations, and then goes from there as to why. So does that kind of?
Yeah, I think, and I absolutely think that's the case. If I look at compare the process of reviewing this never-ending document package to the way that WS presented theirs, and we sat, and we could see the changes and the information was presented. The WS project is the big warehouse behind Home Depot that's going in. They had a fair amount of wetland mitigation there as well. But that one was so much easier
It was understandable, it was laid
for
out.
me to interpret, and I was much greener in this process then.
Yeah, I feel like, mean, this is my personal opinion, doesn't reflect the board, but I feel like, you know, we're purposely receiving portions of site plans and zoomed in areas. To like forget
Under time constraints.
as sort of like a project segregation. Zone flow.
I particularly agree with the commission finds the riverfront area on the site is significant to the protection of private and public water supply following the examination of the soils. That entire section, you know, I think is spot on.
Is there any requirements that like you can't use proposed restoration area for like multiple, for like absorbing multiple things? So like if you're serving like 10,000 square feet of floodplain and 10,000 square feet of bordering land subject to flooding, you can't make like, you can't call 20,000 feet of replication that mitigates both a 2-to-1.
Not to my knowledge, no.
I think unless that 10,000 square feet is the same 10,000 square feet, like if it's both of those resource areas.
So
I think we would justify it, but if it, I don't think that's the case in this
that
scenario.
was the case in this.
Well, I don't know if that's like, because we didn't request, like, I don't know if that would be
We didn't even get
getting
that.
for new information.
No, we never got to that point because it ended.
Yeah, but he was proposing that like flood compensatory storage area, that was also their wetland mitigation for all their impacts on site. And they were also gonna plant trees in there.
I don't know if, based on, like, if we have like a specific thing to point to, that they're not meeting a specific standard, but that's not something that I
The
have.
ratio, I guess.
So, Hannah,
Right, but like, is there something specific, just for, in terms of, because I gotta write this down.
I honestly don't
Or
think
is it
we need to
something
add
that-
anything to bolster our defense.
fully support the architecture of it, well done. Did you construct the language with the oversight of council?
Yep,
At all?
so we used, yeah, we kind of, got some of the format from previous
Who's
denials
we?
that, sorry, myself, when I was writing these up. I got formatting from, some of our previous
Yep, yep,
denials and stuff.
for the
and then-
architecture of it.
Yes, and then it was sent to town council just to review, to ensure that they were all, all the potential options were presented in a, legally passable manner, and then just to present those options to you all, so you can make that decision.
And the same due diligence went on whether it was an approval with conditions, if we went down that path
Yep.
versus this path.
The reason I ask is we've got the state administration hell bent on eliminating single family housing residents. And a whole host of revisions coming through on this
So I think it's important to,
planned housing crisis.
so I think it's important to include the denial under the WPA.
Which,
I agree with that.
Well, the DEP would handle that appeal and they're still executive, so I think
So we give them
The
the
bio-
information.
well, I think the bylaw denial holds more weight because it has to go to Superior Court and that's a completely separate
They could
branch.
pursue a superseding.
now,
No, it goes to Superior Court.
well,
The DEP denial goes to, or the WPA denial goes to DEP. If they appeal the decision on the denial of the bylaw, that goes to Mass Superior.
did that change with the letter that was in that recent activity a month ago?
No, I don't think so. That hasn't been, that's not law yet.
But it was due to be soon.
Correct.
For some projects, it may, depending on how they define priority housing.
So that could be a future problem, but not for now.
All right, so are we good with the defense and the reasons stated?
Yeah.
The WPA,
It's just not.
nobody's bylaw section.
Yeah.
But on page 5, it says statement of facts, and it goes 1 through 4, then it says findings, then it says statement of facts, and it goes 5 through.
Oh, yep, no, that needs to be redone, yep,
So it's new 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
correct, yep. That was
So they need to-
bad formatting.
Okay, so we got it, so here, all right. So, well, let's say the facts change 5 to a 1 and then proceed from there to.
1 through 7.
7, okay.
Yeah, so the next couple of sections is kind of go through, riverfront and, you know, kind of as Don was laying out there. Just going through, that the work needs to, comply with the standards for riverfront area, and then goes through the different interests that, the riverfront is significant to, protection of private or public water supply, protection of groundwater, flood control, prevention of storm damage, prevention of pollution, protection of land containing shellfish, and protection of fisheries. So those are all the potential interests. And just kind of goes through potential reasons why. Those are pretty, you know, standard typical.
And page 5, statement of facts.
Yep.
The first one, which is currently numbered as 5, can you explain that? There must be no practical and substantially equivalent economic alternative.
Yep, so that was kind of when we were talking about, in previous meetings where we requested an alternatives analysis, so the applicant needs to provide, some sort of alternatives analysis to show that there is no practicable or substantially equivalent economic alternative to the proposed project in that location related.
Thereby stating, this is the only thing I can do.
Correct.
Without the adverse effects.
Yeah, or it's not the most cost effective, but it's cost effective for the project to be economically viable.
That asking them to do more would put financial harm on them.
Or it would like reduce the like viability of the site for whatever the project is or something.
Okay, that's what okay.
Can you double check? This is just a general comment. The font looks to be different in some spots, and then the bolding of denying without prejudice, like one or two of them wasn't bolded, and then one of them was capitalized. And one of them wasn't.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
consistency.
No, that's because I don't catch if I'm like in it, so I appreciate that.
I assume there's a lot of copy and paste, so I figured didn't format correctly.
There is font size changing. It oscillates from 11 to 12.
Yeah.
Let's just keep on your toes.
Just wanted to make sure we were actually reading.
Yep.
Yeah, so we kind of just went through the, interests that the riverfront protects of the act, and then kind of goes into other statements of fact regarding performance standards. So statement of fact, the applicant is requested to alter 40,713 square feet of riverfront. The proposed impact numbers do not appear to have been appropriately evaluated and does not appear to encompass the scope of the proposed work within riverfront. The commission requested that the full scope of work within riverfront be evaluated. The applicant refused to reevaluate their calculations.
That was the final thing by Paul. He said he was gonna get back to us, and then Lou said, no, we don't do it anymore.
Yeah. And then, findings, the applicant is denied without prejudice because the commission finds that the information submitted by the applicant is not sufficient to describe the site work or effect of the work on the interests identified in the act. So that would be a situation where I should bold that.
No, further in.
Number 9 under the riverfront statement of facts.
Yep.
The commission finds that the applicant did not rebut the presumption that riverfront area on the site protects fisheries or land containing shellfish. Did they also not rebut that it protects groundwater, private or public water supply, flood control, and prevention of storm damage?
Yep, so I think the ones kind of above that explain why it's significant. Versus specifically, because I don't think there was any real additional information about those. It was just that it's a listed,
Do we have
listed effect of it, and the applicant didn't say anything that would,
Did he say anything about land containing shellfish?
nope, no, so the kind of assumption, I mean, I could add to every single one that the applicant didn't rebut the presumption that it protects that, but just explaining it there was just more detail to the other ones as to why it protects it versus it protects it and the applicant didn't rebut that. And that's why we still think it is.
Well, I think it says that we find that it's significant. And then number 9 only says that he didn't rebut the presumption of that it protects fisheries or land containing shellfish, but he didn't rebut the presumption that it contains any of those things, or that's important to any of those things, so I think we should include that.
Yeah, I can add that.
Not rebut for each of them, is what you're saying, 4
Yeah.
through 9.
Yeah, I mean, like. Yeah, all of them. You didn't rebut any of them.
The commission finds that the applicant did not rebut, and then starting with 4, that the riverfront area inside, 5, the riverfront area inside is significant for protection, okay, yeah. All right,
Question though, number 6 on that section on page 4. Commission finds the riverfront area on the site is significant to providing flood control, but it doesn't.
It does.
But not
Zone A.
sufficiently to stop it from flowing over Lake Street.
It's a flood zone.
I think you might argue that his alterations.
He can
enhance
get a letter of map change. He wants to argue it. From
it.
FEMA.
Okay,
Where is it? I don't see it. Not in my pile of documents.
and there is no, introduction in any of this on impacts to the water table. And that, clearly is, the source for the town.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's a reasonable request, but. maybe
That-
calculate that.
That riverfront feeds town wells. The water table goes directly.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, and I think part of that is I mean, not like specifically laid out, but it does, talk about the protection of groundwater.
Right,
which
it
is,
did. It's
related.
Yeah,
And
if
it's one of the
if we didn't
presumptions
bring it up and
that
say,
as
you
far
need
as
to provide this, and he refused to provide it, then I don't think we're gonna bring it up now.
Right.
If, about groundwater. So if
No,
we
we
didn't
definitely
specifically,
mentioned that before.
well, mentioning is one thing, if we specifically asked the applicant to do something and he didn't, and refused to.
No,
provide it,
it's a performance standard for him to have to address those issues.
Right,
So we don't specifically have to ask him to.
right, but
He has
he,
to meet the performance.
yeah, so is that covered with, which one put that on, you mentioned that?
So that was just based on finding things as,
Yeah, it was mentioned, I'm trying to read so many paragraphs from here, I was trying to remember where I saw something like that.
the commission finds that the riverfront area on the site is significant to the protection of groundwater due to the extensive.
Yeah,
deposit
statement of facts,
groundwater.
one on the front area. So,
Now, I'm just throwing out ideas to add to the defense of the position. There was a lot of conversation about the septic discharge and whether or not the receiving town had the capacity or not. Is that in our jurisdiction or to challenge that?
Planning board, I think.
Not defensive.
That's not a wetland issue, right? That's planning board.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I think if you switch to sewer, to septic. then
Yeah, if
would
it was
be-
individual
It
septic
was
system,
individual
each
septic.
unit, that'd be one thing.
But you know what I find amazing about that is, the septic system, the sewer system is cutting across wetlands. And it's for quite an extensive amount of frontage. And I don't understand why that wouldn't be part of our jurisdiction.
The crossing, I mean, I think we can kind of only really talk about what we.
Right,
have,
but it's also running
yeah.
parallel to
Right.
the wetlands within
Right.
25
That's just the
feet
boundary
for,
crossing Itself.
right, but I just don't understand why, as a conservation commission, when you have a sewage pipe that's running for hundreds, of feet, if not yards, hundreds of yards, within the 25-foot buffer zone,
Yeah.
right, along, and that's not within our jurisdiction.
how we can't evaluate the engineering of it?
Right,
It's in your jurisdiction to potentially limit development in the 25-foot.
right, but not assess the sort of the,
All right,
No, I
so
think.
where do we
basically
stand,
he
chief?
just- Right, he didn't want to look. he was trying to make it a different project.
And I'm not 100% familiar since, you know, I haven't really done this before, but I just, instead
Yeah.
of bringing additional information, I just want to try to keep it as tight as possible.
Right.
What we've already discussed.
Procedure question, Chair and Co-Chair Hannah. If over the next few days, as we muddle our way through this, can we submit comments?
It has to be done tonight. We don't have additional days. We aren't gonna meet again. We have to do this in the meeting.
Once it's signed, it's a finished document.
Yeah, and we have to finish it tonight.
And it has to be debated in a public forum like this. We can't.
Yeah,
comment
again,
after.
it's not a closed meeting, it's not an executive session, and we have to finish it tonight only because with the timing for 21 days for Hannah to get it done after holiday, when we don't have another meeting scheduled. If we have another meeting scheduled, like
No, right.
Tuesday, we could finish, but. And, you know, other than comments about, you know, what do we want to deliberate, we can't introduce new questions for the applicant or, you know, come up with a new topic to bring up. It's really just deciding.
Let's pull this question out. Hannah, is there anything specifically that you put in there that you're concerned about, that maybe you want us to focus on a little bit?
I wouldn't say that there's like one specific anything. It's literally just a compilation of everything we've talked about so far and split up into those sections. So, and I also, you know, it seems like we're mostly just going through the denials because it seems like based on merit and based on lack of information, those are two things that you guys are.
I don't think we have
Are
to put
identifying.
that, to be honest.
And I did draft like something to potentially try to address some of those potential things, like with conditions if
It was
approved.
extensive.
But it was very, very extensive and it
Because
was,
there's a lot of.
it was a little tough. So that's, I'm trying not to put any of my like, yes, I just would like, you know, presenting all of that information that we.
Let me do a pulse check real quickly here, just because I need to as chair. Is there anyone on the commission, Pam, this is especially because you're offline, we can't see it, so we want to make sure you're hearing everything. Is there anyone on the commission who does not want to go down the road of looking at the denial and put aside for now and potentially permanently, order of conditions, approval with the order of conditions, which would be, as Hannah pointed out, extremely extensive because there are so many things that were left undone? Is there anybody that is not okay with continuing to work on looking at the denials aspects, both for the WPA and for the bylaws, and tightening those up, make sure that we have those in order before signing up tonight? If they are, speak up now, otherwise we'll continue the way we're going.
Well, the reason to do that would be because there's some reason we think we could condition this and approve it. But yet we just spent 40 minutes or so outlining a list of performance that information that we weren't provided, so.
But I just want to make sure that there isn't somebody that's sort of in the back.
Understand, I'm just
Yeah,
talking
everyone
it through.
quiet and give somebody 5 seconds to speak up.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, yes, I
That
think the
means- that
denials.
means You agree that it should be approved. If not, shh.
Pam, go ahead.
Imagine if her Zoom cut out right.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the direction was there, whether you wanted me to talk or not, but I was like, okay, I'll be quiet.
Thank you, Pam. You can talk now.
Okay, thanks, Harriet. No, I think that we would be derelict in our duties to try and make order of conditions so complicated to address all of the things that weren't finished, all the questions we had, all the standards that weren't met. I think there's no way we could do that with an order of conditions. I think unfortunately a denial is the way we have to proceed.
Right, I think everybody else in the room is agreeing with that. I just want to make sure I touch base before we continue down this.
Yes,
Is there
thank
anything
you.
else in the DEP findings that we need to cover? Because Hannah got to the last page, and I'm not sure if there's other than remembering.
How many
On
other
your front.
Total what?
total different findings? See.
So this is, I mean, page 6 is the end for the Wetlands Protection Act ones, and then we go into the.
Yeah, but how many others that we, like,
Well, it's kind of, some of them are like the findings and the based on denial are mixed, but there's denial without prejudice based on lack of, not sufficient information because of, the impacts to bank, land underwater, and then there was the denial, based on, also lack of information for riverfront. Oh, okay.
James did a quick thing. Okay, good, thank you. All right, so we have five reasons for denial under the DEP. Anything else on the DEP we need to look at?
No.
Okay, moving along to the bylaws findings, which I will find in a second hand. The BPD, EW 349. Okay. Something after the procedural history, finding of facts, decisions. Description of the project. How we relied on BSC. Pursuant to chapter 235 of the Town of Bellingham General Bylaws, section 247 of the attendant regulations, the Bellingham Conservation Commission has determined the project cannot be conditioned to protect the interest identified in the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Okay. And then we go on to look at the various pertinent points to the bylaw regulations. Okay, that, I remember this is a point by Lou. Bylaw protection versus wetlands regulation. Bellinghams. Kept saying there were one but not the other. Which I'm not sure it's true, but I'm trying to remember.
But he likes to go by the DEP ones because.
No, but it was referring to Bellingham. He said, you don't have bylaws, you have you have regulations, or you don't have the listed bylaws, but it was one or the other. He kept going back to. Yeah.
So we have section 247-13 issuance of order of conditions is our first underlying section, and it talks about how if we determine that the project doesn't meet our standards, we can deny it. Quotes directly from the bylaw, I'm not gonna read it. Section 247-33 stormwater compliance. It states requirements for protection of resource areas and for flood prevention. It says there are certain submittal standards for evaluating certain projects, including subdivisions, commercial projects, subdivision, transportation project, I guess.
Technically not a subdivision or, well, transportation.
So yeah, this is the area that, if you remember, near the end of one of the last meetings that we had, the applicant was stating that this performance standard, stormwater compliance does not apply because his project is not a stated one that has to be considered. However, it's not one that's stated as it doesn't have to be considered. It's a gray area in between the two. We are taking it, well, it's not stated that
It's not a gray area.
townhouses, what is it, project states townhouses. Townhouses do not specifically call out one way or the other. And he was choosing that to mean that he doesn't have to apply. We're choosing it to mean the opposite.
Are the townhouses gonna be owned by separate individuals?
I don't know that. I don't have the answer to that question. That doesn't matter. What matters is whether the town council thinks where our standing is good. And at this point in time,
What we would say here, if we're gonna include it, is that we didn't have enough information to make a determination of whether it applied. Not just, it's unclear, because it's not unclear.
Well, in that
There's a
case,
definition of subdivision.
Yeah.
And it's the subdivided property, and it's not a subdivided property. The
Well,
property
we
is
don't-
remaining one property.
Are we sure of that?
yes.
That's what, yeah,
Yes. Then I don't think we should include that.
I still think it's. I got into this with Paul last time.
Well, it's a commercial project now, there's gonna be residential later, and I guess that one's
It's being
unclear.
permitted as a commercial venture.
Well, he's a commercial venture, right? Like he's.
I mean, didn't the town's lawyer look at this?
Yeah, and I kind of put the explanation, so
Right.
exactly what Mike was saying was that although it's not listed as it applies to this, it's also not listed as something that should be exempt from those standards. And just kind of explaining that the type of development that is proposed is similar to those lists?
Consists of high density residential development, including the installation of roadways, utilities, site grading, the project that. Site grading, project that are in the same, that's not right.
That's, I can.
Yeah.
okay.
The project is in the same vein as those projects listed in section blah, blah, blah. This project is not considered exempt from stormwater compliance. So that's our reason for saying, it, because it's high density, it's just like these other ones.
Yeah.
We think it applies. The court's gonna sign that if it goes to appeal, and that's something we can't do anything about, except I think it's a valid point, our lawyer thinks it's worth putting in there.
Well, the court's gonna look, the court's gonna look at the intent of the bylaw, and I think it meets very plainly the intent of.
High density usage, residential development, certainly nothing much more high density than 149 townhouse, in a tight area. Okay. 2-foot minimum separation. That's the bylaw, outside of the water resource district, 2-foot minimum separation. Within, however, which this is within, the 4-foot minimum should be required. And,
I think we shouldn't even.
did not meet those requirements.
I think we should just start within the water resource district. I think we should just start that sentence within the water resource district, and we can put ... in front of it.
What do you think, people? Is it weak in your position, you think?
I think including, that's the whole section you copied.
I don't know,
I don't know,
section. Yeah, for the extra sentence, I don't think it hurts to not put the ...
It starts off with stuff that doesn't apply. It's just
But it's
not-
a complete section, you might as well, I think, I think people that are gonna be reading this are going to be looking at chunks and not worry about.
No, they're gonna like see outside the water resource district, okay, why is this here? It doesn't apply to them. I read it and that's what I saw.
Alright, well, this is where the commission needs to make a decision, either put in enough and take that part out, or leave it in.
If in my opinion, if legal counsel suggests it's more sound to keep it in, otherwise I agree.
We also
Because,
say section.
because I had to read that like twice to
Yeah.
make sure I
We
understood
also
what.
say section 247B1, and I'm assuming the one in front of it is that same one and it's not B11. So we don't even need to include the one, we can just,
That's just kind of format wise how all of it is.
that's not MLA.
Whatever.
Don't take me back to high school.
I mean, I could reformat
would be-
everything, like every single other.
Or not
format.
MLA would be ...
So
Yeah,
within, so
includes-
it's start within the water resource district, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the consensus? Yes or no?
I mean, I don't think.
I
it
think
makes a
I'd be
difference.
hesitant to alter what a lawyer says we should do for legal language because I don't know what, like standardly how you're supposed to quote chunks of law in a legal document. I have no idea about that.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like a specific, like all the reasoning is from
I mean, you
the
can,
commission.
you can paraphrase,
From the
like when
lawyer,
we
yeah.
submit, like.
So it's something we definitely could do.
When we submit like a maintenance letter or something that's like, we're explaining to the commission, this is exempt activity, we'll paraphrase it, not paraphrase, it's the quote, but it's not the whole thing, because it's like a paragraph.
Right.
Yeah, I like reply to SCP
But
and I'm like,
but in-
section plus.
In this case, with it being, I think this is essentially just gonna be the documentation that goes along with a potential appeal. I think it would be safer for us to.
Yeah, because you do have the one.
Just
in parentheses.
just have the, just
Don't
section.
think so.
Okay,
I
so
think it'd be the
I'm gonna ask for a show of hands, just because we're going back and forth,
Yep.
and I just want to guess this. Pam, yes or no to leaving the entirety?
Yes, leave the entirety.
James?
Yes.
Leave it.
No.
Leave it.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let's move right along.
Great.
All right, all right. I don't think it will jeopardize our position substantially in any way.
Includes excessive
Okay.
information.
Are we good to go to motion?
I don't have much information.
There's
Prefer to
still-
go a little bit
still-
further.
You make a motion, we have to vote. So.
I would prefer to go a little bit further into this bylaw one, so I asked.
Yeah.
Come on. Okay, moving right along. Applicant does not meet the requirements section, so we figured that one out. Resource areas,
Mhm.
okay, this is lacking, information is lacking to be provided to the commission. Buffer zone. No disturbance zones.
Very
Those are
colon.
just all the references.
Yeah.
So is it just going after the commission also, oh, yeah, okay, that a separate sentence?
Just glancing through this, because again, I am road, so it's just if there's anything about to pull out,
I feel like it would really benefit for like numbered sections. The items that they don't need.
Definite font changes, yeah.
Okay. My suggestion is we focus on what it says and don't worry about font changes or format or numbering, because Hannah can deal with you guys individually about that. And that's not unacceptable, because that's not changing any of the nature of things in the next couple of days if you want to do that, but let's move along at 10:15 here. Try to get.
I put the note on there.
I have no comments of the jurisdiction section. I think that's pretty self.
Which pages?
Page 5.
Oh, 5, okay, I thought that was it. Yep, got you, 247 too.
Yeah, so this is the section where, like, because there are kind of a lot of conjoined, like, details, like, we're basing it off of all of these. There's a lot of information just citing the regulations, and then a big thing at the end on where it appears there's information lacking based on that, but it's a little bit more conjoined, so I don't know if you'd rather it be separated out. I just found it difficult to do since they were all kind of.
Well, as long as we say why we're quoting all those sections in the beginning of them, which I thought that maybe we did. So at page 4, where you start talking about necessary that information is lacking, and then you're mentioning these sections, those are regulations. But the regulations are there, they're not lacking, it's reference to them in support of whatever they're trying to say or ask for variances, right? So it's not that we find that there is no section 247-24 buffer zone right under, was the first information that's lacking, there is one, the regulations. But what are we saying, that they didn't provide information that we asked for about that buffer zone?
Yeah, about buffer zone, the 25-foot, 50-foot, alternatives analysis for the front, and just overall establishes the jurisdictional area as a resource area. Those were all kind of combined, so I could formulate some sort of sentence in between saying, the below referenced regulations apply to the
Bolded section on page 5.
Yeah.
Why don't we have like
Yeah,
those
that might be
details
helpful.
in the statement of findings at the beginning, like what we did with the, yeah. And then just say they failed to do it. So.
So say, Ariana, you
So just
suggesting
like
that,
statements of fact and then have that section rather than, okay, so just put statements of fact, have the regulations and then.
yeah, so the statement of fact would be the bold section on
I
page.
think you could even do
Okay.
it all in one at the beginning and just move everything up there. And then you can address them individually. Unless you think that would be too.
The reason that it was broken out was because the first portion was was not meeting standards, and then the second half was lack of.
All right, okay, yeah.
And the other two were very easily broken apart, so I could kind of state this is applicable to this versus this is kind of combined.
So if I'm getting what Ariana's suggesting and we're nodding our heads sort of to, if we want to be consistent with sort of what we did with the WPA one and make a statement of facts for page 4, where it says commission finds halfway down, the commission also finds the necessary information lacking. We do statement of fact and then jump over to page 5 in bold, where it says the applicant has proposed non-effective, blah, blah, and goes down for about a paragraph in bold. You take that out and make that the statement of fact, and then stick that over right underneath, commission finds the information lacking, statement of fact, and then the regulations and the following relevant to the following regulations or something. After the statement of fact.
I didn't follow that one.
Okay. So where's the statement of fact that you want?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
I-
take all the numbers, all the stuff with numbers and details in it, put it in statement of fact. At the end, they did not meet this.
Failed to address.
Yeah,
So-
but
yeah.
all the sections with numbers are not that they didn't provide them, they're regulations.
So just.
No, I mean, the applicant has proposed uncalculated square footage, blah, 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 25, that's a number, okay, 25 to 50, those are numbers, okay, 0 to 100 number. put all that in the statement of findings or statement of fact, whatever, and then where it says the applicant has not presented an alternatives analysis for this work, and they've not identified it, and they don't meet the standards established, that's all the stuff that goes down their end. Got it?
Not important whether I get it, it's important whether Hannah is looking back.
Okay, so state that, so have the commission also finds that the following necessary information is lacking. Statement of fact, have the buffer zone section, alternative section, riverfront section, jurisdictional section, and also include those other listed
Yeah, anything
numbers.
project specific.
Okay,
And statement of facts, anything where we say they didn't do that or they didn't meet that, put it in our decision of why it's denied.
okay, so yeah, so like I was saying, so all those sections and then also, or okay, yeah, so statement of fact, have all of those sections, and then also include, the applicant has proposed an uncalculated square footage of alteration to the 25-foot no disturbance zone, have that be one.
Yep.
The applicant has,
Proposed 435.
has proposed an uncalculated square footage of alteration to the 2550 temporary to disturbance zone, have that be its own thing. The applicant has proposed 435 square feet of impacts to the 0 to 100-foot riparian zone for the drainage swale, have that be its own thing. The applicant has proposed the disturbance of 557 square feet of alteration to the 25-foot disturbance zone for the construction of basin 4, have that be its own sentence, own dash. The commission requested the applicant either present an alternatives analysis or remove the stormwater management feature from the 25-foot no disturbance zone in the 100-foot inner riparian zone, have that be its own thing.
As a statement of fact.
Yep, the applicant
there's also-
indicated that there are no alternatives for the proposed basin 4 or drainage swale that could reduce impacts to the 25-foot no disturb zone and 100-foot riparian zone, have that be its own, and then the applicant has not identified how this proposed work will protect the interests under the bylaw and these regulations, and have that be its own thing.
Well, back up one though, because you left off the sentence,
Oh.
however, the applicant does not provide an alternative analysis as requested by BC for the swale. So I think you want to include those two sentences
Include that
together.
along with the, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's
So
the
they
previous
didn't,
sentence.
say that there was an alternative and they didn't provide, no, they didn't show us analysis. Well, that-
And then-
What's that?
After being asked.
After being asked, right, yeah, so let's ask too.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, So then start another one for the previous alternatives and
She looks so stressed out right now.
Literally just every sentence, just like make the first thing a bullet and then just press enter after each sentence.
Yep, okay, so previous alternatives analysis, 3 alternatives submitted in October 2024. The statement of compliance would be its own one.
It might honestly be easier to find the ones that can be taken out.
To be honest, I think if we do that, I'm gonna get confused. Let's keep going. That require the applicant to quantify impacts to all resource areas from the proposed project. And then as the, then I guess, as the findings, then it would just be the above requested information has not been provided. That's where I'm getting to.
6 and 7.
So we're getting to page 6 of 7.
Yeah.
But then, because we also get into a little bit more
I feel like we could probably make the part where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and above that it says,
That's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Top of
top
6 and 7.
Yeah.
where it says that they're not consistent and appear to be missing impact numbers, including that. We could put that above the sentence that says like, they did not meet the standard or something. Did not meet this bylaw. I got my charger.
Stretch.
Yeah, so I get, so you're saying essentially just take out the above requested information has not been provided and pull that out as the finding and have everything else be a statement of fact that's listed there?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I see, this information has not been provided, but the above listed information, where is that, 6? Looking down. The top of 6, yeah, this information has not been provided in bold, but. After saying we wanted them to qualify all the impacts to all resource areas for the project, this information has not been provided. Was there another one you said was provided that you were just saying, Ellen?
Well, I think Ariane's comment was to basically take that section, take the above requested information has not been provided and have that be the finding and have everything else be a statement of fact, including the stuff after it, which is the applicant's revised NOI, revised local bylaw, and wetland alteration impact, have that also be included in the statement of fact. Yes, is that what you mean? Okay.
And I mean, if it's easier for you, you could probably like, if we feel like this is like so much information and could reduce it a little bit, like, I mean, I don't know how detailed we would need to be, but would it make sense that
I think it's supposed to be like they only have to look at this document.
Yeah, I'd be hesitant to take out too much detail. I'd rather leave it in and let them read through it than to
'Cause
have them assume something, not see something there and have to make an assumption.
I did originally have a little bit less, and I spoken with town council and they said, just include as much reasoning as possible. essentially. So some of it is a little bit lengthy, but it was just, I was trying to
Yeah.
make sure every single potential thought was on
They're
there.
not charging us, but they're not, you what?
I think the last one you said was lengthy too.
Oh, last denial, yeah, it was very lengthy and it was very well written.
Okay, so that's for that one. Is that, do you guys kind of all agree that that's the better format for that one? And
think so.
I'll-
It makes sense to you.
I have a preference, but if it.
It makes sense to you and you can think you can lay it out, that's fine. If you have any questions, clarify
Yeah.
because you're doing all this work on this.
No,
Well, it moves the architecture back similar to the previous document, a bit more.
For the WPA, yeah.
And the consistency is good.
yeah, so I'm assuming that that's all, like, it sounds like that's all information that you'll, yeah, that looks good. Okay. All right, so then we move on to vegetation removal and replacement. So this is another thing where I can add findings of fact to that.
Are these questions straight from the bylaw?
Yes.
Yeah, but there's
It's
really
copy
only,
pasted.
there's so much not provided when you read through this.
Right.
Right, but it also wasn't something that was requested at the end specifically.
Does it need to be if it's a function of the bylaw?
In order to,
Doesn't that request it?
not necessarily, if it wasn't included as part of,
Bellingham bylaw sheet, did they fill in?
Right, but not all of this specific information, and if it wasn't especially when we were like, as part of like a defensible position, if it wasn't something that was requested, I think it makes it a little bit hard to.
Because this is a separate section on land defense section where that's like just a requirement for
Correct.
filing.
Yes,
This is just a regulation that they are required to follow in the
Yes.
town of Bellingham.
yes.
Right.
So,
But we did ask about the trees.
yes,
Mhm.
so that's, we go through this whole statement about, that which just kind of sets it up for, we can request all this information. This is what was.
Right, we're being reasonable.
Did town council suggest you include all that?
I put it in there because it seemed like it was relevant to, this is what you can request, and that's not something that they took
It's
out
that's
or
a,
had.
That's the backbone
Yeah.
for what we requested and the good faith effort we made to be reasonable in that
Right.
request.
That's it. I
And
think
then
that's the key.
again, getting denied. Yep.
I agree with that.
Leading to us saying, okay, well, you're not following the town bylaw, so.
remains.
Okay. All right, there's a decision of the Bellingham Conservation Commission that based on the stated omissions and inaccuracies listed above, the application is hereby denied without prejudice. Final statement. Okay, anything else on this one you want to comment on? The final one. Yeah.
Not unless you guys have anything else.
You
That's-
really
this
want
is-
more?
this
Come
is
on, yeah.
This
This
is
is all you.
everything that I could compile.
And I think it's an amazing amount of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a good job of going through.
Yeah, I think you did it.
Well, especially for somebody who was not on board when this whole thing started 2 years ago. It's like you jumped into the middle of this and inherited a lot of stuff and then.
Like a lot of people did.
Yeah, a lot of us.
And it was still piecemeal though, it was sort of like you almost started all over again sometimes.
All right, so. We have some redrafting to do, but you want us to sign if the commission is so moved to do so now. A hard copy, and then you're going to, how are you logistically going to do that?
Reformat basically is.
And put that onto the signage sheet,
Yep,
signature.
yeah, I'll, make all the, seeing as we went over every single thing that is going to be in this document, and that's what you're approving, me making those changes to the physical document, that's not a problem. So, as long as we sign it, and it is, all of those changes have been made, and we talked about it, that's the document you're signing, and then I'll, make the formatting changes and a couple of, those outlying things, and then.
So we're not changing the substance of the document that we are not yet
Right.
seeing in front of us written, but we are signing on a sheet which will be attached to that document, just so the commission is clear on that. And for the motion that will need to be made by one of the 5 members that can, and seconded by another member who can, to make a decision, we just want to be sure we're clear on how that decision is going to be stated for the record.
Question,
Yes.
we're gonna combine the bylaw one and the WPO, right? Which one are we gonna put first?
Well, so it'll be on the same, this sheet, and then it'll have both attachments.
The bylaw one will be attached to the the DEP one.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Do they have different, list stuff?
One's DEP 105 and one.
Well, the WPA form,
Procedural history.
no, all, which I mean, I copy pasted them just so they're in their own document, so if anything gets taken out, the procedural history is the same for
Because
everything.
they are appealed in 2 different
Areas,
places. So
yes,
the document should be a whole document, separate.
right, yeah.
Well, let me understand what, from a, document approval process. What are we going to do? Are you gonna make these changes and then
So
docu-sign
we're
it?
gonna sign a page tonight, and it's gonna be attached to the modified document, which is getting basically. Not cosmetic, editor, formatting and other minor changes that are editorial and but not substantive.
Is that appropriate?
Really even change, right?
That's, if any language changes are
Right.
made,
No,
it's
just
noted.
Location.
So you're voting on and signing the fact the document as we've crafted tonight.
Which will be.
Okay.
That's my.
And you're just gonna
that's my
Clean it up and
understanding.
put it into a legible form, take out
Okay.
the typos and
Yep.
things like that.
There's also now a video and audio record of exactly what we are signing and approving, so if Hannah wanted to go rogue and just add stuff.
Or if somebody questioned it more likely, then that went wrong. We have that good. Okay, so
Okay.
if the commission is ready to proceed. Again, 5 members only can vote, Pam and Nicole are not allowed to.
So
Someone needs
I
to make a motion.
made a motion to accept the denial, to deny notice of intent with, as modified and discussed here tonight.
Second.
For the project off of Lake Street and Prospect called Prospect Hill Village. Map 69, parcel 87, map 65, parcel 20, map 65, parcel 22, map 65, parcel 2201, and map parcel 65, parcel 2202, construction of a 129 unit development, West Petrosi Wall Street development.
Yeah, the only reason I paused, do we need to include the individual document names? Is there 3 groups? Okay.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
Yeah, you were second.
James second.
His was the motion, I second.
He's second.
Okay, so, thank you. So, motion by Steve, seconded by James.
Third by.
Any other discussion? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, call for a roll call vote just for the record. James,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Ariana,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Mike, aye. So unanimous 5-0 vote. 2 members abstaining for the record because they were not involved in enough hearings to qualify for a small vote. All right, so that notice of intent is denied. And will be fine. Thank you for that, people.
Thank you for a thorough.
Thank you for sitting in there when you couldn't see any of this stuff, because we're looking through it all for the first time tonight, a lot of this, and thank you for.
We've
hearing
got
us
2
discuss
years
it.
invested in it as well.
Yes, they are,
And
and
we've got the rest of our lives, as long as we live there. invested.
yeah, well, believe me, you probably have not heard the last of this, I'm sure that.
Oh, we know that.
Can you now, can you like put in another project or?
They can do whatever they want to do, the probable likelihood is that it will be appealed, but we don't know that for sure, that's up to the applicant. They may choose not to, if they choose not to, they can go forward with another project, the site
I
is
don't have to date.
owned by,
That's right.
whoever it's owned by, and could be developed, as we know.
Thank you.
I know, I never do it, but I
Maybe
just,
some to date and just show up with a bulldozer.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I,
He showed up with it.
I've heard bulldozers at night when he was in there 2 winters ago. And I came to the town and said,
So yes.
So I don't know.
Let's do the other 4 things.
I heard, yeah, we had these tree grinding machines.
Yep.
I heard this like sounding.
Are we telling me?
I was gonna say,
We need to.
Yeah, we need to close
thank you, much appreciated.
Appreciate it, thank you for coming tonight, appreciate it.
just trying to.
Yeah, no, I was just making
Yes,
observations.
let's remember, we're still on the record and, yeah. So we have a couple of items, let's finish up this, if we can, we have signatures for well 11, order of conditions.
Order of conditions.
Hannah's gonna pass that around for signatures. This is well number 11, I sent out some photos the other day, sorry I took so
Yep.
long, but.
Yeah, those were big
Look at all that.
files.
Yeah, they were big files, that's why I did we transfer, because it's like, there's no other way to send pictures. Without computer.
Did you take like a bunch of like 4K pictures or something?
Yeah, I was thinking.
I just snapped away. We were walking along the woods. It was a nice day. Did you see the tree with the tires, the tire growing up inside of a tree?
Yeah, that's what Don and I want.
No, the tree, sorry, say it backwards. The tree growing up inside of a tire. That had been there for 20 years at least. Okay, 380 Lake Street site visit discussion.
Oh, yeah. That was the one that we.
Hannah and
I don't know if you.
Ariane went to it.
You kind of wrote up a really good, I was gonna do my own, I still haven't issued a notice of violation, because I kind of wanted to get a consensus of, rather than telling them something and then coming back and being like, oh, yeah, never mind. To issue a notice of violation, I thought it would be better to just chat with you guys first about what should be in there.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you have it drafted yet?
No, but we have a good,
We want to maybe push this to September 10th.
It's not.
This
even a week
specifically?
yet.
we could.
Ready.
Just because they already have a cease on whatever they're doing on the property, right?
Not necessarily, but it's not ongoing. So it's just something that already happened. They expanded their driveway and then there's some gravel in the buffer zone adjacent to a street and BBW that runs right along the side of the yard. But
Okay.
I can, cause I was just getting ready for this meeting.
Yeah, no, you did
But-
tons.
So Ariane has a really good, Ariane had a really good write-up of our site visit, so I can just copy paste that into the portal for you.
If it's on pause because they're pausing, that's great. If they were gonna be likely to be doing some more no stuff, then or not approved stuff, then we would maybe wanna bring this up and get something in place, but if we don't have sense, but neither of you that they're gonna do anything more than for now, I think that's putting it off is fine. Hartford Avenue, Eversource line, modification discussions.
Yeah, so that was essentially, cause some people come and they're like, oh, like, it doesn't seem like you have something under the bylaw that states that we're completely exempt. And
You said that tonight,
I've
pretty much,
seen,
yeah.
right, and I've seen, evidence from previous filings that it does seem like a lot of people come to us to make sure that they do it through the RDA process and they say, yep, we say we're exempt under this. And that they do that as the process, and it seemed like that would be the process, but there's also been other filings. Specifically, I was looking through in our files and specifically with the Eversource line in similar locations is just that they have typically just given a notification.
Not even a request for an RDA.
Correct, yes.
And were the scopes of the projects about the same?
It depends, from the past, yes.
Yeah.
So it was all like I mean, some of them were larger scale or smaller scale, but they were all replacement projects.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to have, like, if somebody does come ask me, oh, we believe we're exempt under this. What do we do? My assumption would say,
Yeah.
we file an RDA, but if
Yeah.
they come and they say, nope, we're exempt, we don't need to file an RDA. That seems like it gets into murky territory.
Circuit rider for the PD would help us,
Um,
because I'm sure this has come up, I mean,
We
there's
do
tons
have
of
a-
towns that have blind.
there's a
points,
new-
so-
Here's what I'll say, writing fine line, because this is a direct conflict. The guy that submitted this sits next to me, so this is a big but I'm gonna give one point of clarification here. The utility maintenance exemption has been held up by Superior Court probably a dozen or more times. For both of Massachusetts, Maine.
Upheld or held up?
And I do believe
Upheld.
in relation to other filings, you have said something similar to that, but it was just because looking through our files, I was like, it seems like we've had.
I'll say Eversource and National have different opinions on how far to push a notification versus asking permission.
Yeah, that was kind of my interpretation.
To me, this is standard, and what the other one we saw earlier today was like going above and beyond. At first I thought, like, these guys they're not exempt. They're doing it outside, but then I saw like last night's meeting that they were within the right of way. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was actually really good of them. I
Yeah.
thought it was going above and beyond.
They usually with this though, will like schedule an informal hearing to come and like give us a presentation. And then like, I feel like it would really help
Yeah, I
them
mean, I can
out
always-
if
I
they
can always-
included the law.
I can always ask and request it and then we'll see.
Do you want me to
I guess
text
I just
now?
wanted to,
No.
I guess I just wanted
It'd
to
be really helpful. if they
ask the
included the law.
commission their opinion.
I would like to ask if the commission wants to get a legal opinion / something from our circuit rider, or whatever, as to whether there is a consensus of how the best practice and procedure, or is there actually something that's just not enforced from town to town consistently?
So speaking strictly on the regulation, if
Mhm.
the only reason you request an RDA from somebody is because you potentially believe it would require it. For utility work that's specifically replacement, or even some of the minor activity and buffer zone work that is exempt under the WPA, specifically says does not require it.
Right.
So there's no reason to ask for an applicant to apply with an RDA if you already know it's explicitly exempt from requiring anymore.
For the WPA, but not necessarily for the bylaw.
Correct, but in replacement project, this is what the Superior Court has upheld. In replacement projects, something that is in the statement of the act, not the implementing regulations underneath, but within the actual sentence of the act. Town bylaw cannot supersede state acts.
Which kind of leads me to like a general point that I think I found out this week, that like technically an order of conditions might be a state permit that we are issuing on behalf of Mass DEP. Yeah.
Are they required though to notify the town?
No, basically.
The town can have a bylaw that requires notification, some towns do. There's no requirement in the state act that requires it, so I don't think we've ever fought, like, I don't think a utility has ever fought that bylaw, because we do it standard.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure there's been cases where an emergency is, and that's a little different, because emergency.
Right, that's different,
But I'm sure there've been cases where someone has done maintenance activity for a utility, has not notified either on purpose or has forgot. And maybe it was fought by the town, but I don't think that would go away.
Yeah, there's a section along the SNET that's gonna be extended into Franklin. And the utilities go through this massive wetlands. And I can just imagine if they would just one day showed up with massive equipment and just did something that it would, without notifying, would create.
Both the
big
major
hole.
utilities, it's standard practice to
Yeah, good.
well in advance to quell any concern, or if it's in a gray area type of situation. where
Good.
Could be maintenance, could not be considered maintenance.
Yeah, but if that, if you're
right.
replacing.
Was this the last agenda item?
No, one thing, hang on, late edition, Beaver Dam near Cross Street. Pam can leave if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hope you
Hannah
feel better, Pam.
mentioned,
Thank you.
oh, that you did mention that. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Good night.
So yeah, there's beaver dam activity down south end of town, and we don't have enough information to do anything about it.
Yeah, where is that?
Yeah, so.
By Cross Street?
Yeah, it's
And
on
what-
Cross Street. I put some info in the port, so I can just actually.
I can look at it tomorrow. Is Silver Lake drain?
DPW and Board of Health are getting involved, I guess, and Hannah said by tomorrow they might get an emergency order requesting to do something. I don't know why suddenly it's such an emergency when the dams take a long time to back up stuff to the point where the wells are.
And the water's low.
Because they're so,
Emergency order from who?
so to kind of lay it out.
I
I just wanted you guys to be aware because we may need to issue an emergency permit because
Is it a
Board of
trickle
Health
down?
technically has, we don't get to even say whether it is an emergency or not. We can only respond to that emergency if Board of Health declares it's an emergency. They're the ones that control that situation in regards to beavers. It's a weird. It's a weird.
Oh, it's
system.
beaver
Is this-
specific.
Is this Beaver Dam or a dam from?
Two beaver dams right there.
It's
Okay.
it's
There are-
some dams made by beavers.
Because there are emergency provisions in the WPA.
Right,
Yes,
so,
all-
but
all-
that's, so the thing is, if they issue, so it's on
Massachusetts.
DPW property, so DPW needs to apply to Board of Health to figure out if it's an emergency. Board of Health is the one that declares if it's an emergency or not. If they do declare it's an emergency, the only thing we can do is to put like conditions on how they want to either breach the dam or put in a water control structure. So we can put some conditions in there, but DEP does recommend doing it through an emergency order
Yeah,
because
they need
it's
to
an
They need
emergency.
to submit the emergency documentation, and then it would have to certify it as an emergency as well.
Well, not us. That's the thing. Board of Health is the one that
They-
calls it
If
emergency.
we aren't certifying it as emergency, we wouldn't have them submit the emergency WPA form, because that's what that form is us certifying it as an emergency.
Right, but we're responding to we're not the one that's saying it's an emergency. Board of Health said it's an emergency and we are responding to the fact that like they're the agency that's stating this is an emergency, just like the tree warden would say.
It's in,
this is an
but it's
emergency.
in resource area.
Yes.
So either us or DEP would be required to issue an emergency sort of thing.
Yes.
Yes, in response to their emergency. Yeah, sorry. My brain is.
Yeah, I figured.
But
Is it an emergency?
so that's the thing, we don't get to say, and I think part of it is.
I
mean,
know
we
where
have been
they, I
getting
know
some
where it
complaints
is, and I
about
could take a look tomorrow.
levels, And we've gotten, yeah, we've gotten some complaints about that, and they're doing work at the dam and.
It'll,
then
well, that'll
lowering the
flood
water
where the
level
well
up
is,
to-
and that's probably why they wanna
And
call it.
that's. and
Right,
it's
I
in the
believe right where
sheet
that
that's in
is,
zone one.
is, I don't know if you've been down that little road with, that feeds to the well.
Yeah, the access.
Yep, the stream is just below that. There's a breach there, and in the past, Beaver have put dams up, and it's flooded high enough where they were concerned it was going to flood the building, where the,
Pump house.
yeah, where the pump house is.
But they're-
So maybe that's
Yeah,
their
and that's
concern about it
part
being
of
an
And
emergency.
they're gonna have Beaver Solutions out there tomorrow, so they're gonna get.
Those
some
beaver
more,
deceivers in there.
Like idea of that before moving forward, but I just wanted to, instead of, because I'm also gonna be out of office on Friday, and then the holiday is on Monday, so I didn't wanna.
Right, you
just
got a lot
bring it
on
out and
your
be
plate.
like, here's this thing that's happening, and also we need to issue this within 24 hours, and here we go, so.
So if that happens, what do we do? Just DocuSign? Okay, so be watching your emails through DocuSign, please sign it, if you get something right away. I think we're all eligible to sign it, we don't have to spend
And it
more
technically
or
only
anything.
needs to be one member and then be, promulgated at the next meeting.
Right. Promulgated. That's a good word. Thank you. All right, any other business? If not, I'll ask for motion to close the hearing and the night.
No.
No? Steve.
I wanna talk about font.
Okay, fine. Fine, so you just drive Hannah right out the way, she's gonna jump out the window. And this height, you can just imagine. Second, we have second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Well
done,
Well done.
Thank you.